Hi, this is Melissa Hutchison, and you might know me as
Clementine from Telltale Games The Walking Dead, and you are listening to Z to Z.
The Z to Z Podcast.
Good morning, good evening, or good day. Welcome to the Z to Z Podcast, the home for Xbox achievement hunters and Gamerscore junkies. I'm your host, Daniel Proulx, and thank you so much for listening. At Z to Z, we love gaming, and in particular, grabbing achievements and gaining Gamerscore. We do news, reviews, and interviews. If it's about achievements, we'll unlock it. You can find show notes for this show, as well as previous shows, on our website, z2z.com. This is episode 122. You can also contact us with questions and comments on Twitter at Z2Z, over at our forums, forum.z2z.com, or email us directly at contact@z2z.com. Well, what was going to be a three-man show has quickly turned into a two-man show, but we have the return of Randy. Randy, how are you?
Well, I'm doing all right. I think I can feel some rain coming on. We'll see. Our pre-show discussion kind of led me to believe that, but we'll see what happens.
Surely that can't be the case, though, Randy, because you went east and went to the glorious lands of PAX, and you must have had a fantastic time, I assume.
I did. It was a fun time, and I won't really get into any of that probably on the main show. I mean, it will be in the main show, but so I went to PAX with Damien and Warren, and we had a fun time. We hung out for 4 days. We talked to some contacts we knew that we through Reviews Ed and things like that. So we're gonna do a little bonus mini show, probably recording tomorrow after the main show records tonight, and we'll cover all of the things we did at PAX. So if something in particular comes up during the main show, I'll talk about it. But if you want to hear about our adventures at PAX, that would be the place to listen.
So, okay, then just as a tease for the listeners and for me as well, since I haven't heard all these stories or anything, where 0 out of 10 would you go again? What would you rate it? Your experience at PAX?
So I think the 4 days was kind of too long.
Sure.
There wasn't. So the other thing too. So I didn't go to any. That's not true. I did go to some of like the kind of panels, speaking event type things. I think I could have done the 4 days if I had done more of that. But the show floor really is there's just too many people. Like I didn't want to spend, like, it's too many people and it's a lot of stuff I don't really care about for the most part. Like games coming out, I don't care. I've got 10 years worth of games that I'm behind on. Now, that being said, there were a few things on the show floor that I'm very glad I did and saw and played. And there's definitely stuff to be seen there. It's just, Saturday, which is the busiest day, I basically didn't set foot on the floor. It was just so disgustingly busy. Like, and you just couldn't move. Like, it's just so many people, you can't even move. So actually, most of Saturday, I actually just played Magic. Because turns out, I wasn't aware of this, but there's a ton of Magic at PAX.
Yeah, it seems to be a pretty catch-all for
and not even just
culture.
Like people playing Magic, like Wizards of the Coast like has a thing, and there's like tournaments all day, like all kinds of tournaments you wouldn't normally get to play. The tournament Warren and I played in, I think there were 70 teams of 2.
Oh wow!
There were so many people they had to find a new location for it because they couldn't fit us all.
So did you get any like sweet swag for that? Like
I did.
Like a holographic Charizard or anything?
Well, so because Warren doesn't play Magic, I mean he knows how to play. Obviously, we played as a team, but he doesn't have any cards and doesn't want to have any cards because it's a slippery slope, as listeners of the podcast probably know at this point. so he gave me all his cards that he won, and we were playing all sealed events, so our decks came from packs. So I got all the packs he got. I also got all of his win tickets. So we went undefeated in our two-headed giant tournament, and we got a whole bunch of win tickets. And Warren gave me all his, so I had enough to get a playmat that says PAX East on it. That was a very cool play. It's really nice. It's like really heavy, really well made. So that was cool. I guess you can only get that at PAX East.
Well, so you got some sweet loot there.
Yep. Yeah, there was some other loot
cool.
from the floor, but I mean, most of it I don't really think is worth waiting in line for. One of the pins apparently I can sell for $50, which I will do. So
I was going to say there's no reason not to.
Works
right?
for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so more details on PAX. We'll keep it at that for now. As you heard at the beginning of the show, there was another little surprise we threw in there, but we'll talk about that some more in our little PAX roundup.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So Freem wasn't able to make it today, unfortunately. He had some issues that he had to deal with. We wish him well, and I know he's on vacation, I think, for the next few days at least, for the next little while.
We're actually feuding again.
Oh, is that what it is? Was it like,
he heard I was going to be on the show, and he got sick.
Yeah,
his
suddenly I'm not
family
feeling
got
well.
very sick. No, I'm joking, of course.
No, we wish him all the best and heal up. So it was just me and you, but we also talked a little bit about
the other thing that happened too. We had a little before going. So actually, for a while, I thought I might not be able to make it to PAX because something happened. I think some people in chat might have known. But the day before I was going to leave, Blobby got into a bottle of Tylenol.
Oh no!
Which is, for a 15-pound dog, very, very dangerous if he ate more than 2, maybe.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So come home, bottle of Tylenol pills all over the floor. So we had to rush him to the emergency vet, and the lethal dose could have potentially been like 3 if he had eaten 3. So he was in the pet ICU for 3 days.
Oh my goodness!
On like IV and all the stuff. Like people will watch him because we don't know. And it could take 3 days to really know. They were saying. Mm-hmm. So he is home now and he's fine. But that was a bit of a scare. So like this is happening the day before PAX. I'm like, I'm not going. Like. Puppy's in the hospital. But so the next day after that happened, his blood test came back. It was all good. He was looking good. I'm like, okay, I'm only going to Boston. It's not that far away. I can get back if something happens. So I went, and he was okay. So that was good. Obviously I went. So that was a bit of a scare. And then
you gave me a real-time scare here, Randy. I got to say, I've met Blobby before, and I had no idea this even happened. So I was a little worried about where that story was going. But
yeah, Blobby is okay and home. And then, of course, right after this, he comes home, and he gets up. We go to work and school. He jumps up on the counter. So normally we have a baby gate we put up in front of the kitchen, so we can't get in the kitchen because he knows he can get on the counter. He's already broken all of our dishes once, and we forgot to put the baby gate up. So he broke all our dishes again. And he also cut himself.
Oh, jeez.
Big cut on his foot. So he went to the vet today, got stitches, and now he's got the cone.
Oh, no.
So it's been a rough week for Blobby. He's still a little high from the drugs. He's very sleepy. He's very unhappy about the bandage on his foot. So yeah,
I'm sure.
He got little puppy stitches, and now he's got a cone. So I'll post some pictures of Blobby and his cone. He actually got the cone at the ICU too because he kept picking at his IV. They gave him a cone on day 2.
Jeez. Oh man, was it a hard plastic cone? Because those are the worst kinds of cones.
I mean, it's the normal kind. I mean, it's not like hard. Like we can take it off. Like it's just kind of like a piece of plastic that wraps around his neck.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like the bucket sized one. It's a little puppy one.
Yeah.
He's not a fan, though.
Yeah.
So yeah, if he's being supervised, the cone can come off. But
well, I'm very glad to hear that he's recovering well from his multiple injuries this week. It's been a rough
week for Blobby.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we have pet insurance because
I imagine
the pet ICU is not a cheap place.
No. Yeah, I imagine that could run you up a pretty penny very quickly. So 3 days is a long time.
Yeah,
but glad to hear he's doing well. And
we're happy that Blobby is home and safe.
Yeah, and that you got to go to PAX as well. But you know what? That's not what we're here to talk about specifically, because we're going to have another segment like we talked about. We were talking before the show, and you said that you've done a bit of gaming as well.
I have, finally.
Yeah, let's hear about it.
So I decided that, Lost Planet 2 has been staring at me on my tag forever. I got the leaderboard done like 2011, 2012, which is way by far the hardest part of that game. I mean, the game is not an easy game, but that is the hardest part of that game by a long shot. Even in 2012, it's gotten harder, significantly harder since then. But so, like, you know what? I'm just gonna sit down. I'm gonna finish Lost Planet 2. I say as I take on a 200-hour grind.
I was going to say it's not
with
quite
the first
that simple.
200 to 300 hours of that already being done. So it's not like I'm starting from the beginning. I don't even know why I put the game down, because it's really, really a fun game. I really enjoy Lost Planet 2 a lot. It's very hard to get used to at first, because it's one of those control schemes that I want to say unintuitive is the wrong word, but it's very clunky until you learn how to play properly. It's one of those games that's very smooth when you know how to play and very clunky if you don't. It's very punishing for not being skilled at the game, basically. And I spent 100 hours running a training, they call them training courses, but they're really like time trial courses, getting a leaderboard time. So I'd like to think that I'm pretty good with the controls at this point. So it plays smooth and it's so much fun. And then I got playing it again, and I remembered why I put the game down. It was level 3 on extreme difficulty. So there's this stupid level. It's like the longest level in the game for no reason, as a single chapter. That the first part of the game is bad enough. It's not hard, but it takes place on a moving train, and the mechanics of the game don't really lend themselves very well to being on a moving train. And so a lot of the game involves using a grappling hook to kind of jump around walls and jump off walls and go between gaps and things. Doesn't really work on the moving train. You just fall down and die all the time. Even though like the last time you did it, it worked. This time it's just like, nah, you're going to fall down and die. And if you touch the ground, you die. So that's super frustrating. Then the second part of the level, you're on the front of the train that is a giant mounted cannon that moves at the speed of molasses. And then there's a giant worm trying to eat your train that you have to shoot when it opens its mouth. Well, this level is designed to be played with 4 people, because there's manual turns on either side of the cannon that turn it 90 degrees in that direction that you can use, but you also have to be in the cannon seat to shoot it and see.
Okay.
So really, the whole rest of the game, the whole game is designed for 4 people. The whole rest of the game is fine. It's just this segment that is ridiculous. And I could never get it, because what happens is you can sit here for like 40 minutes, an hour, shooting, like painstakingly shooting all of the weak spots on the worm, and then there's this final segment where you have if it bites the train, you lose the level, no matter how much health you have, and if you shoot it, you win. It's just like the final boss thing, or like the final thing. And you have to like reload this cannon manually. Like you have to get out of the seat, pick up a shot, put it in the thing, load it, charge it, then get back in the seat and aim and shoot. So it's not like a quick process. Like this is you're talking like a full minute to reload the cannon by yourself. If you've got other people, it's much faster because they can reload it while you're on the cannon. I could never pass this level. I could get to the last shot every time, but it would always come up when I wasn't ready or something, and I couldn't turn the cannon fast enough or reload it fast enough or whatever. So I looked on YouTube, and apparently you don't even need to use the cannon. If you have a heavy weapon, you can just shoot the worm.
No, there you go.
So I did that and passed it first try.
Man.
After spending like 10, 20 hours on this level, trying over and over again to finally pass this level, because the rest of the game is fine. The rest of the game is, I mean, it's not easy, but it's not like this level that just felt hopeless. It's like, man, I got to like recruit a team of 4 people for this one stupid level so I can get through the rest of the game. So yeah, I did that. The other thing that's really annoying that put me off it is you also have to play the game not for an achievement but for a sub achievement. There's like 700 sub achievements in the game that you need for the final 2 achievements in the game. And one of them is for playing through the game split screen co-op, not online by yourself. The split screen is terrible. What it does, I don't know who designed this, but it was a terrible idea. Instead of, doing like the loaf of bread, like split it down the middle like normal, or like, split it down the middle, side to side, left and right, top and bottom, either one. So what it does is it splits it top and bottom, but then it cuts off about a third of the screen on the right or left hand side and puts the map there.
Oh.
But it's just a black square with the map in it.
Okay.
And then shifts them to opposite. It's terrible.
The only thing I can think of that's kind of even comparable to that is GoldenEye, which if you ever played 3 people instead of 4, the fourth, so it was always divided into 4 quadrants. The 4th quadrant was just empty. There was actually no information there.
Oh, so it didn't do the loaf of bread on top and then the split on the bottom like most games? I never played it with 3 people. I don't think it was always 2 or 4.
I want to make sure I'm not misremembering this, but I'm pretty sure that's the case.
It's possible.
But, of course, it's been ages and ages since I played 3-player GoldenEye, but I'm pretty sure that's what it did. So, anyways, continue.
And it's like, why did you do that? Why can't you just put the map where it normally is, like it would be in the normal game? It doesn't make any, because normally the map's just in the top left corner, like normal. So just make it smaller and put it in the top left corner. Like the map isn't even that important. It just shows red dots where the enemies are. Like, it's useful, but it's not that useful. I mean, I'd rather have more screen. So that one you have to do locally. Obviously, I don't have anyone to play it with, so I've also been making my way through on that, which is a pain. So I also did the giant worm level like that. So now I'm through the worst of the campaign. I think that hopefully I might have to play that level one more time, but I could do it on easy. So it wouldn't be too bad, but I'm hoping that is the last time I have to play the stupid giant worm level.
So is it all that you have left? Those 2 ginormous achievements towards the end? Is that all you have?
I've got a lot, but all of the other achievements are sub achievements in the game as well. So they come while working toward those other 2.
So how long would you say you have left?
Oh, probably 200 hours.
Oh, jeez, that's crazy.
I mean, I don't know. It depends. I don't actually remember how far along I am.
Mm-hmm.
I did a lot, but a lot of the grinding involves just like doing 500,000 damage with weapon X, and there's like 30 weapons, and it's just so you just like go into a multiplayer game, have your opponent get in a suit, blow it up, do it again for like 20 times, switch weapons, do it again. And then there's also the other one that's really time consuming is playing 386 areas with another person online, which also works towards play through 300 chapters. Which, like, there's a really short chapter that you can do in like 5 minutes, but you still have to play it 300 times. Like, that's a lot of chapter replay.
It sounds a lot like the developer were just they were being punishing for no reason. Like they were actually making everything grindy for some reason.
it's a really weird game because like the gameplay mechanics and the multiplayer is really good. Like it's really solid. The game is basically set up to be a multiplayer game, but they just like tacked on a campaign is really what happened, I think. And the campaign doesn't make any sense. It's like 5 mini campaigns, and then they all like briefly intersect at the end, and the story doesn't make any sense. Nothing makes any sense in the campaign. So I think what happened was they just had like a running list of like achievement ideas at whoever developed this, Capcom, I guess, also developed it and published it, and they just put them all in. And then the other thing too is so because it's such a massive game with like, you know, if you count all the variants of weapons, there's like 100 weapons, there's like 100 VSs, which are like robot suits, and then all this stuff. I bought the strategy guide, and it also includes a list of all the sub achievements and what you need to do them. And there's so many that they're not even all right in the official guide.
Wait a minute, are they not tracked for you conveniently in the game?
They are tracked, but they don't. But they're question marks until you unlock them. So
wait a minute, hang on. So if you have like 500, kill 500 things with this weapon or whatever it was.
Yeah, you don't know what it is.
Oh my god, that is the worst.
Yeah, you don't know.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, and what they are, they're not like, I call them sub achievements because that's the way I view them. But what they actually are titles. They're like titles in Modern Warfare 2, where it's just like do whatever and you get a title you can put on your guy. But in order to get some of the achievements, you need to have all the titles. If that makes sense.
It makes sense. I just don't understand why. God,
it's a very confusing game, but the game, it would be a terrible game if the gameplay wasn't super good. Like that's really what it comes down to for Lost Planet 2, is like the gameplay is so good that it makes up for all the other things that the game is lacking.
All right.
It is a very fun game. But yeah, so I've been working on that. I also decided that I'm down to like, I think even with my Xbox One stuff, I think I'm down to 2 pages of locked online achievements on my tag, which is not very many. And a lot of those are from GTA 5 that I've already done, that I just haven't popped the Japanese version in to unlock them all yet. So I decided like I really need to just crack down and finish them all. So I got to work on that. I finally got around to finishing Prey's multiplayer. I've just got 1 achievement left in that. I just have to beat the game on hard. Not the new Prey from 2017, the old one from 2006, I think.
The original Prey.
The original Prey, not the new one that has nothing to do with Prey other than that they're both loosely spiritual successors to System Shock 2, I learned recently. But very loosely related.
Interesting. So I guess would they be then spiritual cousins to BioShock? Because they were both
kind of. So yeah, so BioShock doesn't fit anywhere into the storyline of System Shock, but it's the same kind of. It's almost the same kind of genre where it's just a very like immersive world with kind of mediocre gameplay sprinkled in to get through the world. Like, because I mean, personally, I don't think BioShock's gameplay is really that impressive. But what's really impressive is that you make a game that plays like a game that tells an amazing story set in an amazing world. Just like System Shock. Like, System Shock is clunky. I think System Shock 2 is a little less clunky. System Shock 2 is more BioShock-like, but it's still kind of that same thing.
Sure.
And then Prey, I'm not really exactly sure how that fits. It's been a long time since I've played Prey. I need to play it again. I have new Prey as well that I want to play, but I still also need to play System Shock 2. But yeah, they don't like fit in the same universe or anything, but they're like inspired.
Right.
Inspired by each other. And then I also finished the multiplayer component of Minecraft on Xbox 360, which was terrible because there's like a million randoms More people play that game on 360 than like any other 360 game. It's ridiculous. It's like a million.
Couldn't you just make a private game?
They have to be in public lobbies. But you can kick people. So I had to kick like 18 people every time I started a new match.
Did you finish Minecraft then at this point or no?
No, I still need a world for the like last 2 or 3 title updates. So if anybody has, I know I've said this before, but if anybody has that world, I would really appreciate it because I want that game off my tag. I want it to die. I'm tired of going back to that game.
You know, I have a feeling.
Help me.
I have a feeling that game may come up later on in the show, but
I suspect so as well.
I will wait for that. Wow, so you already, that's like 4 games.
That's not even the last game. I got one more.
All right, let's hear it.
So me and my other friend and Fug are up to the finale on the 3-person Doomsday Heist run with no deaths.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So we tried the finale the night before PAX and didn't go so well. So we're probably going to try again tomorrow. It was also very late and we were all very tired, but there were a couple of mishaps. Not so great.
So cutting the power when somebody dies, basically?
Dashboarding, but yes.
Dashboarding, okay.
Yeah, there was a very unfortunate, like we were like, okay, we're going to try one more time. This is going to be it. We get in the Jeep. I think you remember the Jeep. You know, we had to shoot down the helicopter, steal the Jeep. I drove in the river. The river that was like a centimeter deep and still somehow totaled my car. And so we took that. You can take that or the tank, but we're going to need to, for one of the challenges, learn how to do the mission in the Jeep because we need the speed. And some guy just like one-shot me, like just headshot in the driver's seat, dead. Like just we just got into the base, just bam, dead, just like that. It's like, okay, we're done. That's it.
Man,
we're done for tonight. We're not waiting for that loading screen again.
That's tough.
Yeah,
that's tough.
It was rough because like we were all ready to go. We're like, yeah, come on, let's just finish it up.
Like when it's unexpected like that, like how quickly do you have to like inform the other people? Like, do you have to just be like dashboard?
So
like, do you have like a kill word or like?
We just yell dashboard, but what happens too is so because we're on not because like, you know when someone dies, there's a little pop up that says Crandy died or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So obviously when we see that, that's a big red flag. If you hear someone yelling at the same time, you're like, okay, I'm out. But because we're doing Criminal Mastermind, there's also another bigger box that pops up above when someone died that says your Criminal Mastermind progress has been reset. So if you like when you see those 2 boxes, you're already like in the menu getting out of the game usually before you even like kind of comprehend. At least that's how I see it. Before you even kind of comprehend that someone's yelling, get out, get out, get out. But it's pretty forgiving. Like we've gotten to the point where it said like mission failed and dashboarded there and it was fine. So the game is quite forgiving. I mean, we don't really like to chance it, but
yeah, the auto saving is weird because we started boosting some of the levels that I need for that game, and I noticed that it wasn't until it reloaded back into the game where I got a bunch of the experience that I'd earned before. So it seems like, if you count that as a buffer, and I wouldn't count on it, but if you consider that extra buffer, you have a lot of buffer because those loading screens are so long.
Yeah, and I think that really is where it saves. I think it'll save your XP, but not your other progress. Because once in a while when we dashboard, we will have used up snacks and armor from the mission, even though it doesn't even record that the mission happened.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
But it's not very often. It's like I'd almost say that that's a glitch, like that's not supposed to happen. But once in a while, we'll have to go restock, even though we don't lose the mastermind progress.
Okay.
I'm actually not sure if XP counts. I just assume it does, but it may or may not. I actually have no idea.
Yeah. No. So it sounds like you've got a whole bunch of games going this week.
Yep, and we'll see how Lost Planet comes along because I'm having a lot of fun with that.
Do you have an idea, a goal in mind when you'd like to have it done by? End of the summer,
just
next year?
When it's done. I just want it done.
Yeah, fair enough.
And if something comes up, I mean, I want to finish Killer Instinct too, but I'm done all the online Killer Instinct now, so it's kind of moved as close as I am to finishing it, as much as I want to finish it. Just with how we're starting to see the old infrastructure fail of Games Windows Live and Windows Phone, and I know 360 is still supported through backwards compatibility, but it gets riskier every day. And I don't think the core achievement service will ever die, but if the multiplayer service had some big outage, maybe they just say, hey, that's the end. We can't fix it, or we don't want to fix it, or whatever, and just let it be. I don't really want to take that risk.
I definitely don't. I don't begrudge you your cynical nature in this one. But I do think that the 360. I think that they've kind of committed to keeping that sort of stuff up.
Oh,
obviously,
I agree. Like I think there's a lot of life left in the 360 only because of backwards compatibility. If backwards compatibility was not here, I would have been panicking like 2 years ago. Because it'd be like, man, this is getting to that time. And when they shut down the original Xbox servers, they were like 2 months notice. It's like, I cannot finish Quake 4 in 2 months. Let's put it that way.
Hey, you know what? That may be another topic that will come up a little bit later.
Yes, a rather disappointing one.
Yes.
Yes,
but,
and no,
we'll talk about that when we get there.
The thing that I wonder too, though, is while we're on this topic directly, is I wonder if they regret shutting down the original Xbox service now that they're really committing a lot more to the backwards compatibility catalog. Because I kind of really wonder if they do. I don't know. I think it's more. I feel like if they did actually regret it, or if they looked back and said, "Oh, I wish we kept it this," I feel like they could easily. I mean, they're Microsoft; they have the resources. They could pull something together. But it's one thing to support an infrastructure and system that's already existing. It's another thing to rebuild it when you canned it 10 years ago. Because
to be fair, I mean, I agree with you.
Could you imagine rebuilding that? Because it would have to function precisely the same as it did then. Because that's what all the games were built for. Well, so take the back. Okay, you know what? We're going to shelve this just for a little while because we're actually specifically going to talk about this later. But put a little bookmark in here, and we'll talk about the original Xbox to the 360 to the One, and we'll talk about that stuff later. All right. Let me just go down my list real quick. I don't have a huge list this week about what I've been playing. I don't know where to start. I'm going to start with the massive frustration. The biggest rain cloud I have, Randy. I was going to say, is rain cloud Proulx coming back?
You'll never guess what it was. It's another one of these stupid ACA.
Street Fighter?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it's one of these ACA games. Okay. So it was heading towards the end of the GTA SC week, and Mango and I decided that we wanted to get number one in the community just for fun, and because we were real close already. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'll just do one of these stupid ACA Neo Geo games and just get it done. Every guide says less than an hour and less than 30 minutes on some guides. It's super easy. Just go ahead and do it. God, I cannot play one of these games.
Don't trust those TA guides on these games because they're all wrong.
But to be fair, I've played this exact...
Oh, it's possible to do it in 30 minutes if you've played 300 hours of it in the arcade. It's like, well, yeah, it's possible to do Robotron in 30 minutes too by that logic. But nobody
to be
does.
Fair, I did play this specific game. This is Fatal Fury 2. I played this on the One and completed it with no problems.
Oh, you're back to Windows 10. Okay.
I'm back on Windows 10.
I mean, Windows 10 is kind of a mess. Like, the store is a real mess, so...
Well, that wasn't my problem. And I mentioned this briefly, I think, one other time. What happens to me is that when you load up the game, it plays at double speed. So that's a problem when you're playing a fighter. Because if you're playing against the CPU, you're not going to be able to match their inputs at double speed.
Is this the second time you've played a double speed game?
Yep. Uh-huh.
And is this seems to only be happening to you, right?
No, so this is the thing. I looked it up. I looked it up last time too, but I couldn't find anything last time. This time I looked it up. I found one other fella who had this same problem, and it was on a Reddit thread somewhere. And somebody suggested a couple of things, whatever, none of them worked. He goes, try underclocking your CPU. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, I work in IT. I've never heard of underclocking before.
Yeah, because normally it's not something you want to do.
It's not something you desire, right?
Well, I mean, in my mining computer, I have one of my CPUs completely disabled.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because I don't need it. It just sucks power. Like,
right.
I actually disabled 3 of the cores in the other one, but it didn't consume any less power, so I just turned them back on because, I mean, Windows ran pretty slow with 1 core.
Oh, I'm sure.
Out of 8 running, it was pretty slow. But I mean, Windows doesn't need to run fast. But I mean, if it's using the same amount of power, then I might as well have all 4 on.
It was a really interesting experience. So the one guy was like, "Oh my god, I downloaded this app. It was this program. It was called CPU Killer." And I'm not suggesting anybody do this because it's a really interesting experience. But you can actually throttle your CPU up to or down to however much you want. So say I cut it down to 50% just by default to see where that would land me. Is this in a playable state? Can I get through this? Well, man. So I did. I cut it down to about 50%. I got through 90% of the game. I'm missing 1 achievement. And I can't find the stupid right balance between when is it accepting my inputs and when is it ignoring them because it's stalling out, quote unquote, or whatever it's doing, you know? It's
like trying to load the 20-year-old game.
It's so awful. If there was like...
But can you also kill your graphics card?
Not with this little program that I found. I mean, the one other guy that was having this problem.
I have a program for you that can kill your graphics card too if you want to try that. It's the program I use to overclock my graphics card, but you can also underclock it too.
Okay. Anyways, it was what a terrible experience. I've spent like 4 hours on this stupid game. At this point, like I said, I got all the achievements but 1. I hate these ACA games. I like the idea of them. I like the idea of getting 1,000 points in an hour. It never works out. Either they glitch out for some stupid.
I think like in my binge in this or whenever that was, I think there were like 3 or 4 that I finished in like the time estimate, and the rest were like 2 hours over.
Ugh.
Because like you'll see like these games, like these really brutally difficult cheating AI fighters that are like 2 hours. It's like, no, it's like 8 hours because the AI cheats.
Yep.
Like, and I mean, yeah, you can get like 600 points in 30 minutes, but you can't complete it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And like almost none of the 0 to 1 hour completions were 0 to 1 hour. I mean, like I said, like there's a couple freebies, but I mean, they're all still easy. Like they're easy games, but like it's like 4 hours. And realistically, like I would assume an ACA game is at least 4 hours.
Yeah, I would not disagree with that. I would not disagree with that. So I got to the point where I needed this last achievement. It's getting the high score in high score mode or whatever. I think it's 60,000 or something. And realistically, you can't do it until you get a perfect on the first round or 2. And I thought I'd outsmart the computer here. I said, you know what? I'll just crank this underclock program up to 70. That way, they won't have time to react. I'll just mash the button until I hit them first.
They always have time to react.
Oh,
they read your inputs.
They always have time.
They always have time because they're not like real players. Yeah. They know what you do before the game even does it.
Yep. And
then they can instantly react to it.
And it's moving at like literally probably like 1 frame every 3 seconds. And it's not that I don't lose to them. I just can't get a perfect match, which would like get me a third of the way there instantly and I would be fine. Oh God, I was so mad. So mad. Anyways, that was the frustration for this week. I complain a lot about ACA games, but they deserve it because they're garbage and they belong in the garbage. And Hamster Corporation belongs in the garbage because you're awful and terrible and I hate you. I don't mean that personally.
It's not a lot like harmonics.
We'll talk about that later too. Let's see. Some other things I played real quick. Some Halo, which I normally play. You know what I went back and played this week was Lego Rock Band. I was missing two
That's a fun
achievements.
one.
I loved, man, it was so much fun to go back to it. Like, every now and again, I go back to Rock Bands for random to-do list stuff or just other contests. And I always have a good time playing Rock Band, but Lego Rock Band is so silly and quirky. It's kind of almost amazing that it got made. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's a weird crossover.
It is, but it's cool. Like,
but it works too, though. Like, that's the thing that's cool about it, is like it works very well as a crossover.
Yeah, and it brings the charm of both of those games and the fun of both of those games and combines it in a really silly way. So I got one of the last two. I have two. I had two left. One was for doing all the gigs, which took a long time.
That one, but you can use a fan.
I did use a fan.
Yeah,
I
that
played
one
it.
takes forever. There's
I initially
so many gigs.
I was like, man, I'll just sing this and it'll be fun. And then after like 10 set lists, I'm like, okay, nope, I'm just gonna use the fan.
Well,
at this point,
the other thing too that doesn't help is like there's just like ambiguous unlocking requirements for some of the gigs that you just don't know, and you're just like, oh, I played this one 10 times, it unlocked. It's like, you know why it unlocked? Not a clue.
Yep.
But it did this time, because who knows why. Yep. So that made that way worse, because like there's so many to begin with, and then like when you add that ambiguous who knows why this unlocks on top of that, that achievement is really annoying, even with the fan.
Yes, it was annoying, but I got it, which leaves me with one achievement left. Getting a full.
It's the final countdown.
It's the final countdown one, yeah.
Wish
so
you
maybe
the best of luck on that, because I can't help you.
You can't even get it, huh?
No, I had someone do that for me.
I was just gonna say, man, if somebody ever came down to visit,
I mean, I could try, but I
fine.
really don't think it's tough.
I'm not that hung up about it, because it's
so
tough
the other
solo.
thing too is it's not the solo that's so tough. It's that it's the Rock Band 2 timing window. The Rock Band 2 timing window for guitar is tough. I mean, the solo's not super easy either, but if you were on like Guitar Hero 3 timing window, I could probably do it in a reasonable amount of time. With the Rock Band 2 timing window, it's tough.
That's skills right there, huh?
It is.
So that left me 49 out of 50 achievements for that game. Still a great game, man. What a lot of fun. And it was cool to go back. I guess I'm kind of never going to go back at this point, which is a little sad.
You could practice a lot.
Oh no, I've never been good at guitar. I mean, I've been okay at guitar. I could play guitar and hard, but I've never been like an expert guitar player. So that's never.
You probably won't get it now. I mean, if I come down to visit, I'll try, but we'll see. Actually, if you talk to Gatorade, I don't know if he got a player guitar. He was looking into it at some point, so maybe.
Interesting. Okay, so I played a few other games. Been playing The Enemy Within, Batman: The Enemy Within. Playing that on PC, but I'm going to be starting that on Xbox One. I'm actually not paying attention right now, just because I'm doing the Windows version, but I will start my actual playthrough very soon on the Xbox One, so not much to report there. Other than that, started Cars 2, because just recently I played through Cars, the original, and of course Cars 2 became Games with Gold. So I never saw Cars 2. Have you seen Cars 2, the movie?
I have not seen either Cars movie.
Okay, I saw Cars 1 when it first came out, 2000, whatever, 7, 6, 8, I have no idea. Apparently Cars 2 was a spy movie? I was so confused about what was going on. I know. I have no idea.
About their cars.
I don't know what's going on in it's not even like there's not even a big story mode, but it very much leads me to believe it's like a James Bond sort of homage storyline. So I don't know. Maybe
might go see Cars 2, because that is incredibly confusing, and
maybe the game went way off the rails, but normally they're based pretty heavily on the movies.
I mean, you would think.
So anyways,
I think we actually may have talked with the developers of Cars 2 at PAX. Because they do a bunch of other games. They also did Rango, I think. I think they're Rango and Brave.
Oh,
well.
so I liked Brave.
Is it?
I don't know. I don't know if it was the same developer.
Check.
Let's see.
I'll look that up.
Sure. And then real quick, I'll just finish out my list, because the only other thing I played was Sea of Thieves. And my friends were like, hey, my two in real life friends, IRL friends, we call them. non-fake friends. They were like, get on Sea of Thieves. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. I've already played the game.
So
at
now
that point,
you caved and you went back to the game you hate just because your friends are playing it?
I didn't cave. Because I knew I was going to always play it again. But that, it's an easier lure when it's people you know and play games with. So I got back in. Plus, I got all those achievements. Well, not all of them, but I got some of the achievements that I had already earned, and I had an okay time. But that game.
Okay, I looked it up. Never mind. It is not the same developer, but Behavior Interactive was at PAX showing Dead by Daylight. We did not talk to them. I'm not sure how I went from there to there. Very
Connected
wrong.
them, yeah.
Ignore that statement that I just said.
Okay, that's fine. Let's see that was it. So that was it for me. I'd say it's a good time to move into news.
Sounds good.
Okay, so Randy, we started to go down this path, but let's really delve in. We got a ginormous announcement this week about original Xbox backwards compatible. I don't think you understand how massive this announcement was.
They talked that announcement up, and it's here's 12 games coming over the next month. It's is that really? That's nice.
It is nice.
Is that really a big announcement? I was thinking either achievements like PlayStation has, or we figured out a way for you to system link over Xbox Live, because that would be awesome.
That would be cool. Yeah, that would be cool.
And so we, like we said, we were just talking about this, about rebuilding an infrastructure that's 20 years old now, almost, and to exactly how it was, which it's been done. Digital necromancy is a thing, and it's amazing, and it's very cool. I don't really understand it, but it's very cool.
Well, what I was going to say before was, think about how well the backwards compatibility from the 360 to the One works. It's kind of amazing that you have this emulated 360 inside your One when you play those games. You have access to your friends list, you have access to your achievements. You have the dashboard is there, kind of, but that's still amazing.
Yeah.
So
it is.
I feel a major announcement for this sort of thing would be that same sort of support for these original Xbox.
So I actually haven't emulated an original Xbox game yet, so I don't actually know what that looks like.
I have on the 360. And
I
have
on the 360, yeah.
Okay. I was going to say, from what I understand, it's pretty similar experience. They just kind of carried it forward.
So it's still emulating a 360 it's emulating a 360, emulating an Xbox.
Oh, I don't know. I actually don't know.
Because the 360 emulating was basically what the One does for the 360. It's not a hardware thing. They have to software emulate it because the hardware was not compatible. Mm-hmm. So, because if you look at a PlayStation, the way the original PlayStation 2s, I think it was the 2s to the 1s, or the 1s to the 2s, or the 3s to the 2s, was basically inside of every PlayStation 2, there's a PlayStation 1 chip that is not emulating, that is actually running the way that it would. And that's what made every single game compatible, because they put a chip inside of every PS2 to make the PS2 also be a PS1, where with the 360 there was a very large list of games that didn't work because they weren't supported in software emulation, because the 360 there was no Xbox chip inside of each 360 to make it truly backwards compatible. Yeah. Now, I could be totally wrong on how it works because I don't understand any of it, but that's what my understanding was when I was reading about these things a while ago. Because that's what I wondered. I was why did the 360 not emulate everything? Why was it so hard to do that? Because it wasn't this thing now that seems to be more of a licensing issue or a goodwill issue. Because obviously they can port anything forward if they want to. It's just for some reason they have to get permission now. Because I don't understand the permission thing. Because every other backwards compatible console in the past, it's just you bought the game, you can play it, whatever. But now it's they got to get permission to put it on. I don't get it. Weird.
It's also well, I don't know. I'm trying to think of something like an analogy in like music or movie industries. It's not like you could put a VHS inside of a DVD player, but
if the DVD player had a VHS player in it, you could.
Yes, but you'd still actually need the license for the VHS player in that player itself. You know what I'm saying?
But you don't though. Like, so if the Xbox One had a 360 chip in it, you wouldn't need a license to play Dead Rising on there. You just put your disc in and it reads it.
Yeah, no.
And I don't see why downloading it would make that any different. It's like you just download the files and then you play it. You like, they don't sell it. Like, if they don't have the license to sell that game, they can't sell that game. But if you have a disc, you put it in there and it plays. I mean, why couldn't they do that?
Well, those games were never available digitally in the first place.
So?
Well, that's different. I assume, I imagine that's...
But why would the download matter? Because you can't access those without the license. And you can't play them without the disc.
But if they're offering them digitally in a format that they were never...
They would not be able to sell them.
Okay, well, that's different. Yeah, I think... Yeah, I agree with you. If it was just the case that...
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, the only people that could access that on backwards compatibility would be the people that hold the disc in their hand and put it in, download the files, and play it that way. They couldn't sell it to any new people. They couldn't sell any digital licenses. I just don't understand why Microsoft needs to ask those publishers or developers for permission to do that.
Because that's not what they're doing now. They're actually offering these things digitally at this point.
Well, but they wouldn't be offering it digitally. If say they've done every game that they can possibly offer digitally, and now they're only on things with expired licenses that can no longer be sold, they would still have to get permission to make that game backwards compatible. They couldn't sell it, even if they weren't selling it. If they were
I don't know. Microsoft has no incentive to do that then, because they're not making any sort of money off of it.
They have no incentive other than just goodwill of the backwards compatibility program, which...
I mean, I disagree. Like, okay, so just for example, and just to put this out here, there are going to be 11 original Xbox games that are going backwards compatible.
They're all for sale.
April 26th. That's my point. Yeah.
But
I just
I understand, and I understand what you're saying and why they wouldn't do that. But I'm just saying, like, if they have completely run out of games and they wanted to just have a blanket statement and say Xbox One can now play every Xbox game and every Xbox 360 game, they would still have to get permission to offer those. They couldn't do that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I guess we don't know as consumers what the actual...
I mean, that's just the way they
are.
presented it. And like, I suspect that's why there's no Capcom games backwards compatible, because Capcom is like, yeah, you can buy it on 360 digitally, but we also remastered it and sold it again just for every single one of our games on the one. Like, my favorite now, though, is the Capcom remaster of a remaster that came out like 6 years ago. That was a remaster of a game that came out like 6 years prior. It's like, what? Like, when?
Wait, what's the game?
It was the Devil May Cry collection or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that one was like, really? Like, that game just came out. And it was already a remaster.
It might be more political then. It might be just basically, we don't want to piss off the developers.
No, I think that's what it is.
So if for example, Capcom doesn't, if we could just go out and say, yeah, your old, I don't know if there was a Devil May Cry Xbox original, but if there was, you can go out and put your disc in, it'll work. If they get mad at us and don't put their new remastered version on the 360 or the One, where everybody is way more likely to make way more money off of it, I can see why they wouldn't do it.
I just target Capcom because they're the only one that is doing that.
Sure. Well,
everyone else is like, whatever. Like, no, it doesn't matter. People are still buying it anyway.
Yeah. I really... let me just say this list real quick and we can go through it. So there's 11 OG Xbox games going backwards compatible on the 26th. Destroy All Humans, Full Spectrum Warrior.
I'm actually excited about Destroy All Humans. I have that disc, and I may play that game because that was a fantastic game. It was the only good one. 2 was terrible, and the one after that was also terrible.
I played the one on the 360 yet. I'm not sure which one it was.
Pretty terrible. Yeah, that's one of them. It's pretty terrible.
It was not great. It was not great. So Mercenaries, Playground of Destruction, MX Unleashed, Panzer Elite Action, Fields of Glory, and then it's basically 6 Star Wars games: Battlefront, Battlefront 2, Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, Jedi Starfighter, Knights of the Old Republic, The Sith Lords, and Republic Commando. And then what?
Also, where's Halo?
Hang on.
Hang
on. Let me just. I forgot there was a week before that. There was a few other ones that might be interesting to talk about. Blinks, which was one of those kind of failed mascots. Breakdown, Conquer, Live and Reloaded. That's interesting. Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, Hunter the Reckoning, Jade Empire, Panzer Dragoon Orta, and SSX 3. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
So this now also means that we can get Conquer for less than $10,000 on Not Rare Replay. So that's neat.
Well, that's actually a different version, isn't it?
It's a less good version by all accounts, apparently. It looks better, but they censored it a bunch.
I don't remember any censorship, but
yeah, it's not the like totally super uncut N64 version. Which is still cut because there was like other scenes that they took out of the game that people have found in like betas and stuff.
Sure.
Like full, like there was that one scene where like the guy, the squirrel or the teddy bear is getting cut open or something. And like originally they were going to like show the whole thing of him like getting torn open and stuff. And then they cut it. Anyway, it's not, but where is Halo? Come on. Halo 2. That should have been the face of the original Xbox backwards compatibility program. Is you can play Halo 2 on all your consoles now. You can have Halo 2 LAN parties with just Xbox Ones. Why is Halo 2 not there?
But you can.
Why?
With Master Chief Collection, obviously.
No. Obviously. That's not the same. It's wrong.
Here's the thing.
It doesn't look all blocky, and you don't... It's wrong.
It's wrong. Here's the thing.
I know why. I know the answer to my question.
It's almost like you're being a little cynical, Randy.
Really? Is that something that I do?
I will say this. As a Halo fan, I would rather as messy as Master Chief has been, and believe me, I have been a very vocal critic of the Master Chief collection. At this point, I would not want to go back and play it on the original version of Xbox Live.
Have you had a Halo 2 LAN party recently?
No, I can't say that I have. No.
That will change your mind.
Maybe.
Because you have all those old menus. Like it's just the menus. Like just going back to
they might be nostalgic, sure.
It is.
Sure.
But it's part of that experience is getting when you get of course a Halo 2 LAN party is nostalgic. That's half the appeal. I mean, the game is fantastic. The game holds up like it was released today. But part of that experience is like that's how you played Halo 2.
Yeah.
That's how everyone played
totally.
Halo 2. Even if you had Xbox Live, like that was a time when you still had like split screen multiplayer on everything. And Halo 2 was the game to play. And you're not going to get that in Master Chief Collection. And I bet you people would pay $20, which I assume is the price of Master Chief Collection at this point, just to buy the real Halo 2. I mean, not a ton, but more people that are buying Master Chief Collection.
And here's the thing, and that's the difference, because you're not.
I'm also convinced GoldenEye is a console seller. So, and hey, some people back me up on that.
Okay, all right.
I don't remember who it was, but somebody did. Thank you for your support. It's a console seller.
Wisdom of the masses, I suppose. Let's talk about a little bit more about a few of these other games. You mentioned Destroy All Humans, but the one that sticks out to me, of course, is Morrowind.
The one that stuck out to me the most was Blinks, actually, because that was a console exclusive. I don't think that went to any other console. And I think it was, yes, it was a failed mascot, but I think the game itself was pretty well received.
It's the cat with the vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, like time travels or something.
Yeah.
I remember commercials for that. It looked really interesting, but I didn't get an Xbox until really late in its life cycle, and I never actually got to play Blinks. So,
yeah, I never did either.
But I've always heard good things about it, and the game looked good. Like it looked like a fun game and everything that I saw about it.
So the biggest thing I think that the biggest problem that you and I have here is that this wasn't just, hey, there's more backwards original Xbox compatibility news coming out. They kind of hyped this up before this came out.
And I kind of talk down on this as, oh yeah, they just announced some more games. It's like it is awesome that they're announcing 12 or 16 more games, and a good variety of games at that. Like, and you've got big names on the Xbox games too, like Blink's Destroy All Humans. I mean, Destroy All Humans wasn't exclusive, but Destroy All Humans is, I think, one of those games a lot of people like to go back to. It's also on the PlayStation 2 backwards compatibility. And I want to say Blink's Destroy All Humans and what's the other one? Anyway, big names that are all also available digitally that you can buy and play. I think you can even buy them on 360 actually, which is
I'm
interesting.
not sure about that.
Yeah, because the TA scanner actually picked these up the day before they were announced. Not all of them, but some of them. And they scan in as 360 games. So I assume.
So it's probably still using that same.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's emulating a 360 that's emulating an Xbox, which is weird, but interesting.
Emulception.
Yeah. So when Destroy All Humans goes live, because I think that's the only original Xbox game I actually have with me, I can pop that in and see what it looks like, because I'm interested now.
So how does TA scan them at all? Because you don't get any achievements for them, right?
It just scans the marketplace, I think. So like stuff that has no achievements pops up sometimes. And I mean, you can't see it. Like, I'm on a list, but... excuse me. Yeah.
You can't see them, but no, I can't. So, other than that, though, there was one other announcement wrapped in here.
But anyway, what I was saying is this is a great announcement for backwards compatibility, and it's awesome that we're getting this big wave of games. But the way they talked about this before, like they talked about this like it was gonna be like we got achievements working, or we figured out how to play System Link over Xbox Live. Like that was like one of the two things. I was like, it's gonna be one of those. I was leaning towards the System Link one. Then they're like, oh, it's 13 games. It's like, who cares?
Yeah, they teased a big announcement.
Like you talk about this like they talked about the announcement of original backwards compatibility. And then it's like, we got 12 games. Like, I mean, that's good, but like, don't hype it up like it's some crazy. And they talk about like it's like this big thing for backwards. Like, I mean,
no, what they could have done. Yeah. The better way to approach this would have been to announce this stuff how they normally announce backwards compatibility stuff. You know, just like a little article on Major Nelson's blog or whatever it is. And then let the audience be like, wow, this is a big announcement for it. You know what I mean? Like, not overhype the expectations.
Like, this is a really big announcement, backwards compatibility. We got 12 games.
We got 12 games. And then there's another part to this, too. 6 Xbox 360 games have received 4K enhancements for Xbox One X.
That was a big deal, though.
Well, there is one big deal, I think.
Well, yes, only one of them was a big deal, and that was Red Dead.
So there's Darksiders, Gears of War 2, Portal 2, Sonic Generations, Star Wars The Force Unleashed, and I think the big one is Red Dead. Red Dead Redemption is in 4K now, and it's the only place you can play Red Dead in 4K. I saw
buzz about that, like, all over the place. People being like, wow, like, I'm going to get my Xbox out because that's a big deal.
Yeah, so if they downplayed this and just said, we have a sizable BC announcement, and that wouldn't really set anybody's expectations on fire. And then they said all these Xbox original games and this Xbox 360 4K updates.
And by the way, Red Dead's in 4K now.
Yeah, so. Exactly. They would have blown.
And even the announcement of Red Dead being in 4K, I wouldn't put that as like a big announcement of backwards compatibility. Like, it's cool, but I mean, like, it's whatever.
Yeah. Why tease it at all? Because you're setting. And this is a great announcement. This is really good stuff for us as gamers, and specifically as Xbox gamers. But when you're like, man, just wait and wait, you're kind of setting yourself up to fail, I think, at that point.
Yeah, and really that's my biggest criticism is I agree. This is great news. I love stuff going backwards compatible. I think it's a fantastic thing that we have and that it's regularly getting stuff added, but it's just the way it was presented. It's just don't talk about this like you're adding like Windows Phone support on Xbox 360 or something, like this whole like new branch of something when it's just like some games got 4K updates and we are adding some games. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. So, Randy, we talked a little bit about BioShock earlier. It seems like there's something you want to talk about here.
Yes. So I saw today in another Discord room that I'm in, somebody posted that there is a rumor of a new BioShock. So did you read this article?
I didn't read the whole article. I just read that there was a rumor from somebody who said they worked on it that it's a top secret, blah, blah, blah.
I'll give the rundown. So Mafia 3, the studio that did Mafia 3 had some troubles, I guess, in their face of layoffs and stuff. Which doesn't really have anything to do with BioShock, except that the studio next door to them, which is also a 2K studio, had some like super duper top secret project that they wouldn't even like tell people what it was. Like they wouldn't tell like their coworkers, like both working for 2K next door, what it was that they were working on because they couldn't. And so yeah, there's been some upset at, I forget what the studio is that did Mafia 3 because a bunch of people getting laid off, and maybe something leaked out about what that secret project is, and apparently it is a BioShock project, which I'm not really super thrilled about because I think BioShock ended at a very good place, and 2K bringing BioShock back means they're going to run it into the ground, because what else would they do with it? Still got some money left in there. Let's run it into the ground.
I don't know.
Well, the other thing is Irrational isn't making the game. They don't exist anymore. Yeah. Irrational did BioShock 1 and BioShock Infinite, which were pretty much universally considered way better than BioShock 2. I mean, BioShock 2 wasn't bad, but it felt like a DLC. It felt like a DLC more than a real game.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. I don't know.
I mean, and again, it wasn't a bad game, but it just didn't live up to BioShock, and that's the thing, is you can't live up to BioShock or BioShock Infinite. That's the problem, is they'll never live up to it. Why not end it here on a high note? Just end it. But no, we can't do that. We gotta ruin it. We gotta ruin it, and I'm gonna have to play all of them.
You can't.
just like the reason we're getting a Dead Rising 5. I don't know if you knew that. We're getting a Dead Rising 5. That's the thing Capcom announced at some point a while ago. And, you know, because Dead Rising 4 was a real success. Real good game. No, we got to get a BioShock 3.
You can't. Well, we don't know if it's going to be BioShock 3. It could be BioShock.
It doesn't matter.
I mean, I'm less cynical about this than you are, only because
I love BioShock very much, and they're gonna ruin it. So,
I mean, I don't know.
Preemptively getting upset. Okay, that's what I do.
You can't, even if they do. BioShock 1 and BioShock Infinite are still complete whole experiences.
Doesn't matter. They're gonna water down that experience by bringing out this other stuff and tarnishing the name until it's garbage. You're
one of those people that says the new Ghostbusters ruined my childhood, or, you know, one of these new things. No, that's not how it works.
I don't know if
the new Star Wars ruined my childhood.
Dead Rising 4 harmed Dead Rising as a whole.
Mass Effect Andromeda.
I can't forget that Dead Rising 4 existed. I can't forget that.
Mass Effect Andromeda was a very large disappointment, but it in no way affects or sullies my experiences with Mass Effect 1 through 3 at all. It's unrelated. I'm not completely
capable of doing that way.
That may be a difference between us, I guess, but I don't know. Like I
don't think BioShock 2 harmed the experience, but it didn't wow me. Like, like an Infinite. But the other thing is I didn't play BioShock 2 right when it came out. So if I'm expecting this, like, and Infinite wowed me. I mean, as we know, this is a game that's amazing. I think it's some of the best storytelling in games, period. And then this game is going to come out. I'm going to get excited about it because I can't not get excited about it. It's going to ruin it. It's not going to wow me. It's going to be garbage. And then they're going to make 2 more, 3 more, 4 more, depending on how many people still buy them. They're going to get progressively worse until BioShock turns into Rock Band.
Do you know? Hang on. See, that's the thing. You've had somewhat of a positive experience with this sort of thing before. Do you remember how awesome you thought Saints Row 2 was?
Yes.
And then how semi-disappointed you were in Saints Row 3.
Yes.
And then how terrible you thought Saints Row 4 was.
Yes.
Okay. And then Agents of Mayhem comes out. And you know what? You kind of liked it.
It's true.
So there are times when these things can be quote-unquote positive.
Because when you hit Gat out of hell level of garbage, there's nowhere to go other than up. Because even if you get worse, then it's just like funny worse. It's like a like a ride to hell retribution deal where the game is a joke, literally, because it doesn't work. It's just your head pops off and your guns fly in the air and you kind of stumble the way through the half story. Because you can't get worse than the Gat Out of Hell is like one of the worst games on the 360, I think, because it has no redeeming qualities whatsoever.
I don't know. What comes to my mind are games like Fallout 3 or XCOM or those sorts of games that have had a new life as a reboot-ish sort of game. Like, yeah, of course, you could have the core experience. And I agree that maybe 4 out of 5 of those types of games disappoint or fail. But I think if you're going to go for it, go for it. And you could definitely... There are times that the developers hit it out of the park. And sometimes, much to some older people's chagrin, will exceed the expectations and be a better game than the original experience. Maybe there is... Are you calling
me an old person?
No, not you. Of course not you. Only an attitude. But...
that is correct.
I think it's been long enough. If they want to do another BioShock, go for it. Even if it's terrible, for me at least, I'm okay with it being terrible because BioShock 1 and, like you say, Infinite are such good games that it's not going to bother me if it's awful. I'll just go back and play BioShock 1 or Infinite. I'm totally okay with them trying to do something new with that old formula.
I don't know.
I know you're not.
Somebody gives you a great bowl of cereal. Great bowl of cereal. And so that bowl of cereal is BioShock 1 and BioShock Infinite. It's mixed. It's a crossover. It's one story. That's the one story. Now somebody comes along. Now, what's your favorite kind of milk?
Probably 2%.
Okay. Somebody gives you 1% milk. That's BioShock 2. You live with it, right? It's not a big deal. It's not harming your experience. It's still milk. It's good. Now somebody comes along with BioShock 3. So somebody comes along and like sprinkles turds on your cereal. Just a little bit. Just a little tiny bit. You can't taste it, but you know it's there. That's how I'm thinking of BioShock 3. You can't taste it, but you know it's there, and it's going to ruin your day because you know it's there. That's the way I look at it. It's not harmful to you. It's not enough to be harmful, but you do know that it's there.
Well, maybe we'll agree to disagree. And you know what? Maybe in a year from now, there will be a BioShock Reborn or a BioShock Retribution or a BioShock. And you know what?
The sequel is better than the reboot for BioShock.
I don't know. Do you... actually, that's an interesting question.
Because BioShock should not be rebooted because, 1, it's not old enough. And 2, it's just fine how it is.
Well, it's kind of a self...
The reboot only happens after you run it into the ground.
I was going to say, well, it's also kind of a self-rebooting game.
Yeah, I mean, you can continue the story, but I don't think it's going to be done well.
Unless you...
Kind of. I mean, you can't really... I mean, yes and no.
What about Doom?
That's for the spoiler.
What about Doom? You loved Doom.
Yeah, Doom was fantastic, but it's also been like 20 years since the last Doom came out.
That's not true. Doom 3 came out like 10 years ago. And then
Doom 3 is old.
It came out in 2004, I think.
Was it?
I gotta look it up. I could be wrong. I don't want to say that assertively.
And Doom 3, you're right.
2004. I was right.
You're right.
Yep.
The Doom 3 was also not necessarily well received as a Doom game. Because it wasn't. It was a totally different game. Again, ran it into the ground.
But then the Doom reboot, instead of a sequel...
came after running it into the ground. They didn't go like Doom 64. They're like, we're going to reboot it.
I mean,
Doom
to be
64
fair,
was great.
The difference between Doom 2 and Doom 3, I think, was larger than Doom 3 and the reboot. I don't know if enough. I don't know enough about the Doom to argue this point. I'm just saying there are times and there are franchises for which I think you can appreciate a new version. Hey, Wolfenstein.
See,
we love Wolfenstein.
You know what's interesting though is I actually did really like Doom 3.
I don't know anything about Doom 3.
I really enjoyed it for what it was, but I mean I agree it doesn't really feel like a Doom game, but I did enjoy it. Yeah, I like Wolfenstein.
Imagine a game that was given the attention and care of Wolfenstein in the BioShock universe. You give it to a development team that really does have a passion for BioShock and also brings something new to the table. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. Most of the time, you're probably going to get that cash grab. But there are times that it happens and it's successful.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay, we'll wait and see.
Yeah.
And, to be fair, I do think that the super duper top secret thing maybe suggests some thoughtfulness.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
I don't know. We'll see.
It could be one of those big reveals at E3 this year.
Ugh. Please no.
Sorry, we won't talk about E3.
We don't talk about that here.
All right,
there was somebody recently that was like super rainy about E3 too. I was kind of excited. No, there wasn't. It was something else. Never mind.
All right, so there's one other thing I want to talk about this week. And you brought up Minecraft earlier, but did you hear? I'm sure you may have. That there are going to be Xbox achievements on the Nintendo Switch.
I did.
This is pretty big news.
Minecraft. Now, when does PS4 come along?
So here's the thing, and I thought about this because every version, including the toaster version of Minecraft, has achievements except the PS3 and 4.
All of them at this point, right?
Yeah, the PS3 and the PS4 are the
well,
only
what
ones.
about the non-Windows Store Windows version? Like Steam or just an executable kind of deal.
I mean, they're not available anymore, right?
Oh, are they not?
No, I don't think they are.
I assume they were.
I think everything that is supported at this point has achievements.
I mean, like Apple TV has achievements, so
it does. In fact, I'm actively working on getting that one done.
Oh, you have an Apple TV? Did you buy it just for Minecraft?
No, I have access to one. I'll put it that way. I actually was going to play this weekend, but it turns out you need
a $10,000 controller.
You need a proprietary controller, which I had no idea. I was like, I'll just use my Bluetooth. Nope,
you
can't do it.
spend $10,000 on a controller that Apple made.
It's not that bad, actually. It's like I think $40, but it's
bad.
It
was
when
like 80.
No, it's bad when that's the only game that you're going to spend it on. Yeah.
Why? No. Like it supports Bluetooth.
Yep.
Why?
But of course, because Apple says you have to use our proprietary Bluetooth,
just as Apple does.
Yep.
It's like, Apple, you want a USB port? No, you got to get our proprietary dongle to have a USB port on your laptop. Apple
gonna do how Apple gonna do, I guess. But anyways, this is so it's not surprising to me because basically anybody that lets Microsoft put Minecraft on their thing, as long as they allow them to sign into your Xbox account, they're going to put achievements on it. So, and Nintendo isn't as hostile a company to Microsoft as Sony is. Sony, I'm sure, absolutely said, no, you cannot sign into your Xbox account on your PlayStation.
The kids
The kids. Think of the kids.
The kids could get harmed terribly if you sign into your Xbox account.
Yeah.
You cannot have this.
So it's almost not surprising that this is the case, but it's also really interesting that this is the case. This is the sort of, it's not crossplay, but it's cooperation between these ginormous game companies that we would love
Especially
as gamers
Nintendo.
to see more of.
It's Nintendo.
Yeah. Well, Switch is such a massive success at this point that, of course, Microsoft wants the Minecraft on there.
I know. I mean, it's just surprising that Nintendo okayed it. Like, it's Nintendo.
Yeah. This is a new kind of Nintendo, man. I think this, Randy, we talked about this many times on the show before, but I have to be honest with you. I think this Nintendo likes money.
I don't know yet. We'll see.
I don't know, man. Like, Switch is
It's possible. It's possible. We'll see.
Switch is rocking it. And
indie people can actually publish on there and stuff. So
yeah,
we'll see.
And certainly Nintendo's not perfect.
But at the same time, it's Nintendo.
So I wouldn't, I think a lot of people were kind of taken aback or surprised, but I wouldn't expect this frequently or honestly at all after this point. I'm not sure what other games Microsoft would or could put on the Switch. That
the only thing would be like Wordament if it wasn't dying.
Yeah,
because Wordament had a lot of platforms.
I could see them putting their Word games like the casual games collection.
Yeah, but the whole casual games thing is kind of on life support at this point.
Yeah.
I don't think they would go to the effort of doing it. I mean, it would work perfectly. It's got touchscreen.
Yeah,
it's perfect fit. But I just don't think they would. We haven't seen any more Android releases. We haven't seen any more iOS releases. I think other than just basic and we've seen the announcement for Snap Attack getting shut down. I think other than just basic life support, I don't think they're doing anything more with those.
Yeah, I was just thinking of other titles that they could put. They're not going to put Halo on the Switch. It's not anything like that. But they're more, not specifically Xbox geared franchises.
Halo Mega Bloks would have worked on the Switch.
Yes, it would have. Absolutely.
Yeah. I wish that would have happened. It looked
Hey,
cool.
you know what? What an interesting idea is. I wonder if Minecraft Story Mode gets ported and if that'll have achievements. Now, I doubt it, but maybe.
I mean, is it already on there? It might be.
I don't think so. I don't know. But
if Minecraft Story Mode did, then I assume everything Telltale probably would. But I don't know.
No, because
but that's more of a Telltale game than a Microsoft game, though.
Exactly.
It's just licensed.
Yep.
So
probably not. Probably not.
I would say probably not.
This is probably the only game that you're going to be able to get achievements on, no matter what platform you're on, except for
Age of Empires, maybe.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
The mobile one that's on everything. Also,
Yeah.
Really, the only thing else I could really see popping up on there would just be the other games that pop up on Android and iOS and things like that, on the other obscure platforms, rather than Microsoft publishing something for Switch, I think.
Yeah.
But I would love to see Microsoft publish some mobile games with achievements. I mean, not mobile as in like mobile phone, but handheld.
Yeah.
Console.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool.
I don't think it's going to happen, but it'd be cool.
I agree. But it does give me just a little bit more of an extra nudge to get my Switch. So I'm very
I
close
know.
to pulling
I'm
the trigger.
actually kind of thinking now that like Windows Phone's totally dead. I think.
Yeah,
and Smash has been announced.
What? What do you mean it's been announced?
I mean, okay, it's happening. We knew it was happening.
Yeah, we always knew it was happening.
It's happening enough that they're talking about it, kind of. So, I mean, it's probably going to come in the next year or two. So, I've been thinking about it. Probably not going to happen, but I mean, that'd be pretty nice for plane rides. I don't know. I think I'd probably still get more use out of 3DS at this point because I want to play Majora's Mask again.
Which you can get on your Switch, I believe.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure that's been in the... Oh, let me check real quick.
Because I want to play the HD one that came out on 3DS. I mean, the original one's cool too, but... And then that new...
It's not on the... It's not on the Switch.
Not on the Switch.
Nope.
And I also want to play the sequel to A Link to the Past.
Oh, that's very good.
3DS. Yeah. A Link to the Past was my favorite. Well, I don't know. Very close. Link to the Past and Majora's Mask are like same level. I really love both of those. I mean, Breath of the Wild, I'm sure, is fantastic too, but it's not on my radar like those two, just because I enjoyed Link to the Past and Majora's Mask so much.
Yeah, Odyssey is what gives me my itches at night. Like, I really need to play that game, but okay, real quick.
After Sunshine, Mario games kind of dropped off my radar. I really did not like Sunshine.
That's fair.
Really did not like that game.
Then you have not experienced the joy.
Oh, I mean, I know they've been good since, but
that is Galaxy.
I just couldn't deal with Sunshine.
Yeah, I can. That's okay.
I don't even know why I disliked it so much. It was that stupid water pack. The water pack. It was just like, why? Like, why is it there? Why do we have to do this?
Yeah, well, okay. So let's do one more thing before we close out. We'll talk about the content plans for Sea of Thieves. I know you haven't played the game, Randy, but have you read this at all? Or any idea what's going on here?
No, I just know it's kind of big, empty, mostly open world game.
Yeah, well, you're not wrong. So they have a treasure map. This is clever, right? They have a treasure map going from May to fall/winter, where they're going to have where it's a little winding road, and you're going to have looks like two big content updates. One called The Hungering Deep sometime in May, and then one called Forsaken Shores in summer, and then and with weekly events going throughout. So it looks more like a trickle sort of update plan than the traditional big expansion sort of thing. But at least, I guess, I don't know, at least they have a plan, I guess, is what's going on here. I'm not sure. This doesn't inspire me with a bunch of confidence. I would rather them come out with a $10, Pirate War DLC or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like, it's kind of concerning to me that for how long the game has been in development and how long it's been hyped, that it was that empty on release. Like, I mean, I know, like, it was probably a troubled development given how empty it was. But I mean, at the same time, like, it's funded and backed by Microsoft. Like, I just don't believe that they're going to have the ability. Like, if they had, how long has it been in development? Like 4 or 5 years at this point? 3 years, maybe? It's a long time. That they're going to be able to get content out that fast that's significant to fill, what's missing.
Yeah. Yep.
But, I mean, they have a shell to work with at least, and they've got people playing it for now. But
yeah, I mean,
I don't know. It's the kind of troubled launch makes it difficult for me to believe that they're going to be able to kind of live up to the expectation. But I don't know. I haven't played it. I don't know what the community consensus is, so I feel like I can't really speak for it there. But
yeah, no, I mean, I haven't played it, and I kind of feel the same way. Like, I wish there was a more concrete plan. What they have here just seems to be like, here's some weekly events, and then every now and again. So it feels a lot like a Destiny type plan.
Yeah.
Which doesn't feel substantial.
That's exactly what I got from it. Was it like, it's a Division, it's a Destiny, it's whatever. It's like, let's get the husk out. People will buy it. Throw some stuff in later. Maybe it'll be playable in a year, and then
Yeah, like I said,
I don't like the way that this kind of like these kind of games work now. It's just like, oh, here's an empty open world you can play around and kill each other in. We'll maybe put some stuff there later.
Yep. Yeah,
It's like, oh yeah, you already paid for it. Yeah, it's too bad.
I mean, if it's the case, and they mention here on this outline that they want to release all their content for free with no additions, to separate the player base, that is positive to me. But if that also means that there's no substantive additions to their gameplay, then you're just treading water for a longer time. You're just kind of going with the motions at that point. I don't know. It's tough. I would need, for me to get excited about the game, I would really need some really substantive changes to the gameplay. So I don't know, but
yeah, I
don't want to rain on it. Maybe I'm the only one feeling that way because I had a really sour experience the first time. But anyways, one more thing. We got one little piece of feedback. Saucy Singo says, with God of War out and getting perfect reviews, which I hadn't seen any perfect reviews, but I've seen some really good ones.
I saw like mid-90s, which is that's good.
Yeah, that's solid for sure.
It's also bribe money territory, but nobody seems to believe me on that one. So one day, I'll find some evidence.
He asks,
I'll
"What would you say?"
Keep that tinfoil hat on for as long as possible.
He asks, "What would you say are similar in Xbox to get rid of your God of War itch?" He's thinking Dante's Inferno, which was great. Any others? I don't know. I'm not a big.
I really like Dante's Inferno.
Yeah.
I did not like the DLC. Both DLCs were absolute garbage, and they would fall into the visible turds in your cereal, in that they actually harmed the game. They didn't just make you uncomfortable that you knew they were there. They made the whole experience worse. The worst. I would consider both of them the worst 2 DLC packs I've ever purchased for any game ever.
Really?
They're worse than Moxie's by a good margin.
Whoa, that is a heck of a thing to say.
Yeah, they are. Okay, you want me to tell you? First one,
okay.
$10 DLC, took me 10 minutes to finish it. They said there's 2 new enemies. You know what they are? They're reskins. They're the same enemies, they're just different color.
That's not worse than Moxie's because you have to sit through 6 hours of Moxie.
Yes, but you paid $10 for that DLC. $10.
That's the same. That's two
it's a
different
maze.
sides, same
It's a
quantity.
maze. Like, it is just a maze with different colored enemies in it. That's the whole DLC.
Okay, what's the second one?
The second one has no content. It's just a level creator. It's also $10, or was. I think they reduced that one to $5. But there's no content that comes with this. It's like, here, make your levels. You can upload them. And Dante's Inferno. So Dante's Inferno is a hack and slash game, but it doesn't play like a normal hack and slash where it's a very high skill cap. It's more like a God of War, or at least I never played God of War, so my understanding of God of War, where it's more cinematic and story driven. With, the gameplay is good, but it's not. It's like BioShock. It's like a gameplay as a medium to tell a story. So when you make these like super high skill cap levels, the game doesn't work. Like, so I went through this DLC with Gatorade, and it took us forever, because what would happen is you'd have this challenge room that's like 20 minutes long. Then you would just it would just glitch out or something, and like the enemy would spawn on top of you, or you would just like spawn and die, or like something would happen where you couldn't complete the room because the game just wasn't set up to make challenges like that. So, and then there were like 20 EA, so I guess there was kind of some content where EA created some challenges that you had to beat to get an achievement, which is the hardest achievement in the game. And the reason it's so hard is because the rooms they're not consistently beatable. It's like some spawns would be harder than others. And like some things, sometimes you would just die for no reason, and just things like that. Because it was just a mess. Like, the game just wasn't set up for it. So that is the worst DLC I think I've ever played. because it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. They added a new character, which was kind of neat, but again, still doesn't work.
Interesting, but the actual game itself,
the base game is fantastic.
Okay,
I love the base game. It's really good.
I don't know that I've played a hack and slash that I could even compare to God of War. For some reason, Darksiders comes into my mind, but I don't think that's comparable.
Is
really,
Darksiders even really a hack and slash though?
It's not. No, it's not at all. It's more of an action adventure. But like it's got.
But
I don't know.
That's the same thing with Dante's Inferno. It's kind of an action adventure game with hack and slash elements.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big hack and slash fan. Would you?
It's not a long game either.
Would you compare at that point? No. I was going to say Dark Souls, but that's more of an RPG as well. So
yeah.
So I don't know.
You can probably complete the base game in like 12 hours.
I don't know. I don't know enough about God of War to say, like, is there a comparable game on the Xbox at all? I'm not sure.
My understanding was Dante's Inferno was kind of a God of War clone. Like it was kind of like made in response to like the original God of Wars being popular.
Okay. All right. So we'll go with that. We'll go with
Well,
Dante's
I don't
Inferno.
know. One's on the PS3. I mean, because it came out in that same time.
Yeah.
I could be totally wrong on that, but I don't know why that idea is in my head.
So there you go, Saucy. You picked the best one, and if you need to fulfill that itch, go back and play Dante's Inferno. All right,
The final
Randy.
boss battle is excellent.
Hey, Randy.
What?
Last month, the March game of the month was Manual Samuel. Where the heck were you, man?
I don't know. Playing Magic.
That's fair. Well, 16 of us, of the community, were playing Manual Samuel, and I'm going to do a little bit of a recap here, just so that everybody gets an idea of what went on. Like I said, the 16 of us were tracked. You know who honestly the VIP of this seems to be was Freem. He played the second most of anybody in the community. He got all the achievements. He really did fantastic for himself. He really pushed himself at the end there, and he seemed to be the one that kind of, gave it his all in the end. Chin Doctor, of course, played a whole bunch himself, but he also played as his alt, so I don't know if that really counts, because other people were doing it as well. So we can actually go through the specifics here of... it's really interesting that what Xbox tracks. They tracked blinks, inhalations, splits, and steps. So what would you find the most interesting? Let's see, who did the most blinks? I'll tell you right now. Freem did the most blinks. Who did the most inhalations? Freem did. Randy, if I were to ask you who did the most splits, who do you think it was?
Was it Freem?
It was in fact Freem. In fact, not only did he do the most splits, Freem did almost 1,500. He did 1,449 splits. This number 2 person was 961. That was Koosh Moose. So Freem had 500.
So Freem, what you're saying is Freem is the worst at this game because he had to play it the longest and do more splits than anybody else to get the same result.
Yeah, honestly, he was. Yeah, I would say that. So steps. Let's talk about. He didn't have the most steps. Koosh Moose had the most steps. He had 12,184. Freem had 11,312. But for example, Freem also had by far the most blinks. He had 7,700. The next closest person was Koosh. I don't know if Freem and Koosh have a thing going on or what, but Koosh had 5,600. Like, that's a lot. That's a big gap. So Freem, we're really proud of you for completing the game of the month, but man, like, is that the only thing you played?
What happened?
Yeah, like, what's going on here?
Why so many struggles?
Other than that, I'm gonna just list off the names of the people who participated, just because everybody should be included here. It was Chin Doctor, Kronos, What the Fug, the Tominator, Spaz, Skeptical Mario, Saucy Slingo, Rocker Dude, myself, Mighty Mango, Michelle, Mark B, Kushmoose, Kingsman, Freemhole, and Big L. So thank you to everybody for participating in the March Game of the Month Manual Samuel. Obviously, we're deep into the April Game of the Month, which was Sea of Thieves, and you can disregard my negative opinion about it. Everybody have fun, go out there and plunder each other to death. And we're, as of now, in the voting phase for May's Game of the Month. But by the time you hear this, it's probably been decided. So check Discord. You can see what we're going to be playing next month. All right, everyone. Well, that's going to be it for our main show this week. But I'm going to hand it over to Warren, Damien, and Randy for their PAX coverage. Enjoy.
All right. So this is, as I mentioned earlier in the show, myself, Damien, and Warren all went to PAX last week. So I'm joined by Damien and Warren, and we're going to do a little bonus, little mini segment. Well, not really mini segment, but little mini podcast here about our time at PAX and the stuff we saw and the stuff we did. So I don't know how.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah, I don't know how do we want to start this. So I mean, as the title of the
beginning,
as the title of the episode states, we did all share one bedroom that had one king size bed. So that's where the title comes from. Fortunately, the hotel had a cot, so it wasn't quite as cramped. So we'll start it there. We did do all 4 days.
Coward.
Ooh, we got to cover this though too. Fortunately, we also brought a sleeping bag, so we didn't actually have to have two guys sleeping under the sheets with each other. Just wanted to make sure we got that in there too.
I mean,
I don't know why everybody's just so afraid. Like, you should just leave it as in 3 dudes, 1 bed, and just be like, what? Doesn't everybody
you got a
like
problem
to save
with that?
money?
Doesn't everyone do this?
So day one, I'd say we probably made the most progress on the show floor that day, just because Thursday was much less busy than any of the other days. So,
and you guys didn't play Magic like a bunch of dorks for the rest of the
yeah, I mean, well, Saturday.
I don't think you were picking up as many pennies that day either. Nerd.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't really want to do anything on Saturday. There were just too many people. Like, I think Saturday was like the worst day, just because.
Oh, for crowds, yeah.
There were just so many.
Saturday's mayhem.
So many people, and just like you couldn't even move. So I was perfectly fine with playing Magic all day Saturday.
All right.
So I guess I think it was the first game we played actually was called Cook Serve Delicious 2, which was really fun. And so this is it's like a cooking game. I want to say like a line cooking. I don't know if that's like the right term, but where you just kind of are like you're prepping meals and serving them to lines of customers in a fast food restaurant.
Yeah, it reminds me of, what's that? Not Sally's Salon. There was a cooking one of that, but the same kind of thing, like the Star Wars
Cooking Mama.
No. Cooking Mama is like where you have to follow recipes. Yeah, but
I know the one you're talking about. Yeah,
where you got to like queue things up and all that. However, where those are all mobile phone games, this is definitely a little more. Well, it's Steam based, so it's for PC. So you have a little more complexity. To it,
and you're kind of in control of most of it. You're assembling the ingredients and sending it out, and you have to do it quickly and make sure that it's done properly. And I love the art style of this game. All the people just looked like the look of their faces. They just look like dead, just as you would look lining up at a fast food restaurant waiting for your order. Yeah, it was. And like the food was like super realistic looking, and I love the art style of this game.
The best part about that game was how the implementation of co-op. Now, we thought originally that like you could help each other out with your orders, which might get a little chaotic because it gets fast and you just want to bash out your order quick. No, actually, each person runs their own bit of the order because you've got that running queue of what needs to be done. You just grab an item and bust it out yourself.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And cool.
The way
you can play it with one keyboard and mouse, so you don't even need like an extra controller or anything. You both play it on one keyboard and mouse, and it works wonderfully. I mean, I guess I can't speak for your half, but it seemed like it worked fine.
I think it'd be quicker on the keyboard just because of the letter displays. You get pretty used to what goes where fast, but the mouse is not bad.
Yeah. So that was a fun game. They wanted to come to Xbox, so maybe we'll see that eventually. I know they're already coming to PlayStation, but not Xbox yet.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed a lot about the Indie Mega booth over the years is you'll see something and a year or two later they'll finally
it pops up on Xbox.
Yeah, exactly. Some of those titles from I missed PAX 2017, but PAX 2016 that we had looked at now are making their ways to consoles. So, it's the way. So, just because today it's Steam only, I think a lot of people, if they can get it to a wider distributed audience, so they can make more of that money.
Yep. And we get more achievements.
Chivos.
Can't be hating achievements, especially those easy indies.
Yeah, so that was fun. Then I made a quick stop by the Limited Run Games booth. As I think I've said before on the podcast, I do buy some of their games from time to time, despite not owning a PS4 or a Vita. I picked up a Munch's Odyssey, PAX. I want to say PAX exclusive cover, but it's not. They did sell some on their website too, but it was mostly they made 1,000 of this variant for PAX and then sold the leftovers on their website. So I got one of those, and it was cool to see limited run games have an actual presence at an event like this, because I think what they do is awesome. Then we made our way over to the Tiny Build booth, which they've grown quite a bit since we started talking about Tiny Build.
I wouldn't really
games.
call that a booth. That thing was
pretty
huge.
big. Yeah, they had a very significant area for Tiny Build.
But actually, they were. I'm trying to think back to 2016. They've had a fairly substantial booth presence in the indie area. Granted, they're not in the main. So, for anybody that hasn't been to a PAX, the way the show floor is broken out for all of the console and, I guess, let's call it gaming, non-tabletop gaming.
Video gaming.
So if you come down from the main entrance to the stair, there's two sets of escalators. That main run of the show floor in front of you, going back at least a quarter of the entire convention center floor, is all of your main. This is your Microsoft, your Square Enix, your Sony, Nintendo, Twitch, Facebook, all of your main, companies. Off on the left and right hand sides are smaller booths for. A lot of it is smaller indie developers or, a game here and there, or just local, video game store type people that are having a trade show presence. After you get back past the main video game section for all the main developers, then you have your indie mega area, which is all of the indie developers kind of clumped together in maybe about half of the amount of show space that the main vendors are seeing. So if you think about it, you have a small indie dev and you get 4 or 5 of them lined up in a segment. So, I mean, it's just a ton of indie dev games all throughout there. And then Tiny Build is almost the size of, 8 of them?
Oh, yeah, at least. It's humongous.
Yeah.
And it was a whole end.
And you can't help but notice it because it's bright orange with this bright orange rug.
Yeah.
It stands out.
It was pretty awesome, actually. I quite like the orange. Yeah, and so there were a couple things we did at Tiny Build. So the first thing that caught all of our eye right away was Party Hard 2, which we all loved when we played. It's a fantastic game. And I assume it was the first level. I don't actually know that. But it was very similar to one of the early levels in the original Party Hard. Except now, they've made a ton of improvements, which is awesome. And it's the same kind of gameplay, but they've added an inventory, so you can have 4 different items that do various different things and can kill people in other ways. And you don't have to kill everybody anymore. You just have a set set targets. You can kill anyone you want with no penalty. I mean, other than potentially being caught. But yeah, it looks awesome. I can't wait for it to come out. And then
hold on.
Okay.
Don't forget, you gotta brag a little bit.
Okay.
If anyone that beat the level got something special for themselves and all the spectators, and maybe one of us, I don't know.
Maybe I was the only one that I saw the whole time we were there beat the level. I mean,
there you go.
Well, in Warren's defense, he walked away. He let somebody else take a turn.
Well,
I'd played half of the level you'd played. I'm like, yeah, okay, I've seen this. But granted, I wasn't going to spend that time to do it like you did.
I think, I'm sure there was another way to solve it, but you also missed your throw with one of the items, and it didn't kill the guy that we didn't really know how to kill. So
true,
there was that.
We thought there was a doorway that didn't really go anywhere as helpful.
Yeah. But anyway, it's awesome, plays awesome, looks fantastic. So I'm pretty excited about that. I don't normally really get excited about games, but I think that'll be a day one for me.
I don't think they can mess this one up. I mean, it's looked pretty solid.
Yeah,
so.
And it looked like it played like it was finished. I mean, I'm sure there's probably still building some levels and stuff, but yeah, it was very far along. That's for sure.
Yeah, no. Go ahead.
So yeah, and then you set up a meeting with one of our contacts there, and so we got the special treatment, and we got to play Graveyard Keeper in the private back room, which is
the tiny back room.
Tiny back room that was also the merch room, the back of the merch booth. So Graveyard Keeper is also pretty awesome. It's made by the same people as Punch Club, which I quite enjoyed. And it is basically a Stardew Valley, but instead of a farm, you are a gravekeeper. And you have to manage your graveyard. And every day bodies get dropped off that you have to deal with. And you got to make your graveyard pretty. Yeah, you got to make your graveyard nice and pretty. So
and then you get to go and what was it? It was a resource gathering.
Yeah, I was all
about. Oh yeah.
Yes, you were all about the flesh.
You were very into harvesting the flesh.
I'm just all about harvesting. I get it from Minecraft, right? Hey, you can punch this tree. Well, I need wood. Get all the wood. All of it.
And it sounded like you could cook and eat the flesh at some point in the game as well.
That's a little disturbing.
Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah, that's what she was alluding to.
I think she said that. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure she said that was something that could be done. So yeah, that looks like it'll be a good one when it comes out.
Oh, point of reference: don't get yourself stuck. Grab an axe at the first available opportunity.
Yes, Damien managed to break the demo like 30 seconds in.
That must have been a record. They're like, I haven't seen that happen. You're like, oh, that was good.
Okay, let's quit and reload.
Yeah. Fortunately, not too deep in. So yeah, that was cool. It was cool to see the Tiny Build booth. There's a couple other games too that we didn't try, but kind of had a little peek at. But yeah, it's awesome, especially because I think everything that has come out of Tiny Build that we've played at least has been really good. So I suspect that will stay the same going forward. Hopefully, at least. So after that, we were kind of wandering around, and then we wandered over to Wolverblade, which I think is out already.
Yeah, they said it sounded like it had already launched, or just launched.
Yeah, I think it launched
end
like
of
a
January.
month ago. Oh, was it really that long ago? So that was
it seems to be
kind of a story-driven beat 'em up. Not very good at beat 'em ups, but we made it through the level. We got a poster. It looks good. They had a shield. Their booth guy had a very large shield.
It was a very heavy shield. I did get a touch of it. Yeah,
it's a legit
it was
shield.
Not. Yeah, it was definitely one of those shields. Like after a while, like you must get tired of carrying this thing. It's pretty bad.
Yeah,
but
So after that, I think at this point we had met up with Saucy Slingo, and we were kind of wandering around and figuring out something to do. And we wandered over to the classic games area because we were going to play some GoldenEye. We're going to have some 4-player GoldenEye action. And along the way, some of us got distracted and wandered into the Steel Battalion room. So the Steel Battalion room, I guess, is a recurring PAX thing where some Steel Battalion enthusiasts set up 10 Xboxes and 10 Steel Battalion controllers and have giant System Link games for people that have never played before. I mean, it's not necessarily people that have never played before, but it's just ends up mostly being people that have never played. So for those of you that don't know Steel Battalion, it was I think it was $200 or $300 when it came out for the controller and the game. And this is a controller with 2 joysticks, 40 buttons, and 3 pedals, something like that. It's humongous. Like it's like a cockpit. Basically, like it's bigger than a flight, like way bigger than a flight
stick.
It's
not something you can put on your lap. Like you need to have a table in front of you.
Yeah, you need a table and to be sitting in like a desk chair to reach the pedals and all that. So it is a super unforgiving, like mega hardcore mech fighting, first person mech fighter simulator kind of game. Like you can fall over, you've got windshield wipers you have to control, all this stuff. And it also features permadeath. So if you die and you don't hit the eject button fast enough, it deletes your save off the Xbox. It is
even worse.
So awesome.
It is brutal.
If you're playing multiplayer with your buddies and you forget to eject, it wipes your single player game.
Well, okay, that's not necessarily true because the single player game and the multiplayer game are actually 2 separate games.
Oh, well that you're right.
Yeah. So either way, it wipes the save from your Xbox. So if you're playing single player and you're on the last level of the game and you die and you don't eject fast enough, wipes your save. You got to start over from the beginning. It's crazy. And only a game that crazy could get away with something like that. But man, that game is
I can't
so
believe
much
they made
fun.
two different games with that, considering.
Yeah, the multiplayer one came out like a year later, and then they reissued the controller.
That's just nuts.
So yeah, the first one had no multiplayer at all. It was just single player. So we spent a good chunk of time there because it was super fun. Because nobody really knew what they were doing, and everyone's driving around, falling over, and so I didn't know what I was doing, and I accidentally picked the weakest mech on my first. So they tell you which one to use, but I was looking at the wrong place on the screen, thinking I was scrolling when I wasn't. And I ended up in I think they described it as a tin can on legs. It's the least armored and least weaponed mech in the game. And I came in second, so I was pretty happy about that. And then we returned a few times, and we played in a tournament and lost. We did not succeed at the tournament, but we didn't really expect to, I don't think.
But it was fun.
It was fun. We had a blast
fun.
there, and I highly recommend if you're ever at PAX or you ever get an opportunity to play Steel Battalion, do it, because it's an awesome game. It's just humongous. And when are you ever going to get another opportunity to play a 10-player System Link game of Steel Battalion?
Yeah, first time I've ever had a chance to. That was amazing.
Yeah, it's super fun. So then after that, so Warren, you got an invite to, what was it, a Frontier Community Meetup event?
It was like a Frontier community meet, just for like the chance for the devs of basically the Elite Dangerous devs and well, two of the devs, one of the community managers, just to chat with other members of the community, people from the forums. And I mean, I guess technically, if you were into other Frontier games, you may have been interested.
Come on.
Yeah, I mean,
Connectimals.
We couldn't find any Connectimals fans. I mean,
you were
imagine
with
that.
one.
Imagine that.
Pretty
I
sure
love playing
everyone there but you guys was an Elite Dangerous fan. You two were the only Connectimals.
Now, that's not
oh, wait, no,
necessarily
you found
true.
some dancers.
No, we found some streamers. We were kind of like standing over by the streamers and plus ones at the bar. They had free Red Bull. I was very happy with that.
It was okay at the Hard Rock Cafe. They booked one of the rooms off, the conference rooms, with free food, which it actually was much better than anticipated.
Yeah, it was good.
And open bar.
Yeah. And so they said that there was only a +1, so I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get in because Damien was listed as the +1, but they didn't seem to care. So Warren got +2. Hey, whatever. Go on in.
Like, all right, let's just write your name down. Done.
We'll charge him for another person on the bar. Sure, sounds good.
Yeah, pretty sure those are Hard Rock guys up front, not Frontier. So they were just like,
no, they were. Yeah, I don't think they cared.
Not my money.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. I mean, I think Warren, you probably got more of it than we did, but it's neat to kind of go to one of those exclusive type events. And
can't hate having a chance to talk with some of the other guys in the community. I found a few other Xboxers, mostly PC players there, but yeah, there was a couple of console guys. Just kind of walk around going, Xbox, and like everyone turns your way without a frown. It's like, okay, yes, I can talk to you.
Yeah, so
they're just looking at you strange, like, what? Console?
How'd you get here?
Somebody's... I think I hear your mom calling. What?
So that finished off our day 1. Day 2, we decided to rush down to the Oculus booth to try and get a pin and try out one of the games.
So we should maybe explain the pins to the...
Yeah, because I didn't understand the pins. So yeah, if you want to explain how the pins work.
Okay. So Penny Arcade has followed in the vein of Disney, and they have I'm sorry, I've got a cold, but they have these pins, like, just whatever with the pin or like the pointy back, pins that you trade, and there's a number of pins that are sold at PAX. Those are the Penny Arcade, just you can buy them. There's usually the PAX East logo or PAX West if you're at West or Prime or whatever. So with that, and so you get, ones that you can buy in the merch line. Then they have the Penny Arcade staff pins that you can trade for, and there's a table that's usually set up right next to the merch stand that throughout the day, Penny Arcade staff people will show up there, or just other pin traders will show up there. And then the other pins are all third-party pins, and those are found in the wild. For example, companies like Twitch make a pin. Oculus, which is the one we were going at, has pins. I like the Behemoth pins because you can get all of your fun Pit People, Alien Hominid, Castle Crashers, that other one, Battle Block Theater, right? Those are, and then even some of the illustrator comic people like Bill Amend, who does Foxtrot. He actually has an exclusive pin, and we found out in 2016 there was the Thimbleweed Park pin, which is still available online. So the thing is, the pins cost about $5 for a company. Like, if you were a dev, you have to buy a minimum, I think they said 500 pins. And they would cost you $5 a pin, but you have to sell them for $15. So basically, after you sold a third of them, all of the other pins go straight for profit, which, is good. If you're an indie dev, that could be a good way to generate some extra
especially
revenue.
Because it seems like a lot of people collect them. Like, there's quite a large group of people trading.
And even
pins.
if you're not collecting them, there's the whole grabbing them for trading. Yeah. So they're almost like a currency. Or
yeah.
That's what I'm it's almost like a currency. You can use pins to get pins that you've been looking for.
Yep. It's all another way to get you sucked in.
Yep. And
so, speaking of getting sucked in,
yeah. So we heard on the street that the Oculus pin was rather valuable, and so we got in line first. I mean, I want to say first thing, but I mean, it was kind of.
No, it was like 10:15. It was pretty quick.
It was like 15 or 20 minutes after the show floor opened, and we get in the Oculus line. I want to say there were 12, 15 people ahead of us, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe. And that was a 2.5 hour line.
Yep. Yes, it was.
It was like 15 minutes to get two people through, give or take, because it was like a 10-minute game, and then 5 minutes of
like setup and explanation
used to,
and all that. They told us it was like 90 minutes. That was a lie. That was a lie, just straight up.
Yeah, that guy could not tell time.
Yeah, so we toughed it out. Warren had to go to the Walking Dead panel partway through. Fortunately, I went on as a single player. It's like they were looking for like just a single to play, and then I swapped plays with Warren, played it twice, gave Warren the other pin. So we did all end up getting a pin because he wouldn't give one to Warren despite waiting in line for 90 minutes.
Like he's like, yeah, come see me tomorrow and I'll give you mine. I'm like, as much as I'd love to believe that, there's no way he's gonna remember me.
Yeah. The other thing too is like it seems like the Oculus people hadn't even played the game. Like they're like the way they were explaining it, like they didn't really. I don't know. They didn't do a good job. The game was fantastic. It was really fun. This is my first VR experience. Worked really well. It was a tabletop style real-time strategy game where you could look around the whole field and basically see and touch any, like, you know, not actually touch, but, you know, wave your VR wand over anything, and you would kind of drag the troops and build troops like you would in an RTS game. And it was very intuitive, the way, like the movement and the control of your troops. And you could kind of drag yourself around and like move up and down. But they didn't really know all the controls. I figured out controls that I don't think they had ever seen before. In playing the game for like 5 minutes.
It's 5 minutes longer than they ever played.
Yeah, so they didn't do a very good job of selling it, but the game itself did because it was a good game. I don't remember what it was called though.
Some like castle siege warfare game.
Yeah. It was fun. It felt like a not demo-y game like a lot of VR games kind of seem to be. It felt like a fully fleshed out game. Now I don't know how true that is because I played it for 15 minutes. Damien played it for 5 minutes. Hard to tell.
Yeah. And you did whip me that second time.
Yeah, I mean that's why it was 5 minutes, not 10 minutes.
If you'd like to have a little more information on it, guys, ask Saucy Slingo, because not only did he play the game, he beat a poor disabled lady in the process.
We'll leave that one up to the imagination.
Yes. He did also take pictures of me playing it, apparently. With stealth pictures, because I didn't even know he was there.
Well, you did have a mask on.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you had the Oculus on.
No,
so.
I know, but
he definitely got good shots there.
He didn't hang around to say hi.
Well, he spoke with us. You were playing.
Yeah, I know. It wasn't playing for that long. It was not that. Anyway, so Warren then went to the Walking Dead panel, which I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about.
I'll talk a little bit about it. I don't want to get. Because part of it was some spoilers for the final season, and part of it might be spoilers for people who haven't played through the whole series yet.
Like me.
Exactly. But basically, they had one of the art guys from the final season there, one of the writers from the final season, and some Telltale guys, as well as Melissa Hutchinson, the voice of Clem. She was there taking questions too. So basically they kind of walked you through what had happened beforehand, you know, like a little bit about how they felt making the whole series. And then they turned off the Twitch stream and said, you guys can't watch this anymore. We're just going to do something private for the PAX guys. And they showed us not spoilers per se, but they showed off the engine and some of the new features that the game's going to involve. Like some things I can say without giving away anything is, if you've normally played The Walking Dead, you'll know that your zombie interactions are pretty scripted. In the new game, it looks as though they're going to be a little more open world, or than the final season, I should say. It looks like they're a little more, you can choose to interact with them, choose how you want to interact with them, or just try to get away from them. It does also look like they might have either tweaked or rebuilt part of the engine because it didn't crash in any of the demos.
Wow.
There were no weird artifacts, no crazy stretching. It worked.
Now,
so
was this pre-recorded footage?
I'm sure it was pre-recorded footage.
So, I mean, they could have just played it 18 times. They probably worked
that Polly's out.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you've played Walking Dead games, you know how rusty the engine can be.
The engine has been...
This did look visibly improved.
The engine has been outdated since 2012, and that was in 2012, so I don't think it's changed since. So yeah, they're definitely in need of a new engine, and I do hope that does fix some of the issues, because the issues really do take away from the experience. Like they're significant enough to kind of break the immersion. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Especially in Michonne, I had horrible issues.
Yeah, Michonne was rough.
But yeah, basically they kind of just did a nice little closure for people that had been playing the season up until then, the series up until then, and then took a few questions, and basically, the usual kind of like, what was the hardest for you to write out of the series, which was me. And I don't want to really talk into it because, apparently there's spoilers involved. So, yeah. But basically, it's just suffice to say that it was really nice to have an opportunity to actually ask questions of the people that like the heart and soul behind the series. So, yeah, that was a really fun experience.
And then, I mean, this wasn't on the same day. I think this was the next day. But we did stumble into... So, I mean, how many people do you think were at that panel? 1,000-ish?
At the Walking Dead one? Yeah. Easy, because it was in that theater we did Jackbox in later, and it was full.
Yeah, so a lot of people, obviously not a lot of time to like get up and, really meet these people. So the next day we were wandering on one of the hallways, and we saw this Walking Dead sign. We were like, what's that? And the doors were open. And there was, I don't know, 5 people in line?
Yeah, it was the tail end of the session, but yeah.
Because I don't even know what that was. Like,
it was just a signature, like a autograph session. The weird thing is that wasn't in the guide. I looked later. There was no advertised session for her for being there. So that was just spur of the moment. Or something special they threw in after they printed the guides.
Yeah, interesting. But anyway, it was the voice of Clem signing autographs, which, as you heard at the beginning of the show, we also got a voice recording. So that was pretty cool. And it wasn't super crowded or anything, so it was enough time to, get some things signed and have a little conversation. And that was cool. So that was a nice little kind of surprise that we stumbled upon when we were wandering. Another thing we did that day is, so I think I've mentioned it on the podcast before about Shaq Fu, A Legend Reborn. I'm pretty sure I called it vaporware. Well, turns out it's done, and it was at PAX. And it has a release date now, and it is not vaporware. So, yeah, we played that.
I liked it.
I actually liked it too. Funny enough, I thought it was going to be like a super like Saints Row 4 kind of like trying way too hard at everything type of game, but I actually really, from what we played the first level, I think. From what we played, the humor was actually very clever. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but like kind of in a good way.
Come on, you get icy hot patches to heal yourself.
Yes, that is, whoever came up with that, it's fantastic. Like as soon, so who was that we talked to there? Was that
the dev guy, or he wasn't the dev? He was the product manager for Wired Productions.
Okay, yeah. So we talked to him, and he, that was before we played, I think, and he was saying, like, you get icy hot patches for health, and I was like, that's amazing. Like, whoever came up with that is amazing. So it's actually also getting a physical release, which is cool. So yeah, Shaq Fu is coming out to Xbox and PlayStation and Steam. But
well, while you guys are wandering around on the floor, did you see Crackdown 3 anywhere?
No, actually, it was completely absent from the Xbox booth. So told you so. It's vaporware. Because
no, but I asked somebody, a Microsoft employee, they said no, nothing additional other than what was already said in, what was it, Twitter?
Yeah, okay, but you do think they're going to tell you it's vaporware until it's, until it's scale bound?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. if
right,
it was
Scalebound
supposed to
looked
come
like it
out
was
this,
pretty close,
like,
and they killed it.
Yeah, like
they'll kill Crackdown if they
rumors
don't like
were
it.
like this. Well, I mean, it was supposed to come out like a year ago now, but like, I mean, there were those.
I thought that was supposed to be like a launch title for the Xbox One, Power of the Cloud, brother.
Yeah, I think it was, or shortly after, and then it was a 1X launch title. Then it got delayed again, and then there was like rumor of like the pre-orders being this summer, and I think if it was coming out this summer, they would have had something at the Xbox booth or some mention of it. It's vaporware. I'm telling you, that game is vaporware. So yeah, so then it was snowing that day actually, and we decided to go out. So the cafeteria line was very long, as all lines are at PAX. So we decided to go outside to the food trucks in the snow, and it was chilly, and the food truck line
And just as long.
It's just pretty much just as long.
In retrospect, I'm not sure which was worse, paying more money and having a slightly longer line indoors, or waiting for about 45 minutes in the snow.
Yeah,
Better food. You get better food in the food trucks.
Yeah, and like the first like 2/3 or like 3/4 of the snow was okay, but like right at the end, it's just like it started snowing harder, and like that was when the snow kind of just like starts to, like the melted snow just kind of starts to penetrate your clothes, and you get cold and wet. Ugh, it's miserable.
And none of us were dressed for like wet weather.
No, we were dressed for walking around inside. The security people were also very rude. I was not happy with the security people. Just as a note. So I think that
You're gonna write a letter.
No,
Gonna write a letter and complain.
No, I'm not. I'm just going to complain on the podcast because that's what I do. Because I'm the rain cloud. I think that
was
pretty
not nice to me.
I think that pretty much covers our day 2. Day 3. So actually, partway through day 2, we discovered, or Warren pointed out to me in the guide, that there's a ton of Magic events at PAX. I did kind of talk about this on the main show too, a little bit. But so we tried to go play a Two-Headed Giant event, which is teams of 2, and for some reason in the schedule it said 4 to 5, which is not true at all. So we're like, oh yeah, it's it's like 3:30. We can get down there. We'll play, and then we'll go to. I think we were going to the Jackbox thing, and so we get there, and the guy's like, yeah, it's like 4 hours, and we're like, oh, okay, guess we're not doing that.
And even that was a little wrong.
Well, I think the day that we played was a bit bigger than that one, which would have made it longer. But yeah, it was
100 and some odd teams.
Yeah, actually, if you looked in our DCI history, it was 72 teams, 72 teams, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the 100 was a little overestimate, but yeah, so we
okay.
played in a Two-Headed Giant game, which was teams of 2 facing each other with 70 something teams, which was super fun. It's all sealed deck, so you just make a deck out of some packs that you buy, and yeah, we had a blast. We went undefeated and won a cool playmat.
Nerds.
Yeah. We also played at the beginning of day 3 and 4. We also played Mini Masters, which is where they give you 3 of each land and 1 pack, and then that's your deck. You just play each other with that. So that was fun. And yeah,
if you ever just have a chance to do this, do not sit across from your friend, because you're gonna knock one of the other person out, and then you're gonna be like, that was fun.
Yeah. So we had that. We both got really good packs on the first day, actually, but we made the mistake of sitting across from each other, and so it's single elimination. So I went 3-0, and I beat Warren in the first round. So. Yeah, but we did not.
Well, that's okay. I redeemed myself in day 4.
2. Yeah, you outdid me on day 2. Actually, I lost in round 2, and you went all the way and got your 3 wins. So that was fun. We played some Magic. I think, and then there was somebody. This was kind of the best. So at the beginning, we must have actually seen him on day 2. Now that I'm thinking about it, but there was somebody there dressed as EA, and dressing as EA consisted of a pole with the EA logo on it above his head, some devil horns, black sunglasses, and a suit. So that was pretty awesome to see EA walking around, having a presence at PAX. And then we saw the next day at the EA actually had a custom. They had like a sports ball room thing.
Well, I think it was actually EMLS's booth that EA had a presence at.
Oh, okay.
Because that's what it was all about. Was like Major League Soccer, and then like they were just doing FIFA cards on like the side.
Well, but they had FIFA games set up in there too.
True, but the pin you got was an EMLS.
Yeah,
pin.
That's true.
Yeah,
some kind of sports ball thing that EA was involved with. Yeah. And so they had custom foot cards like you get in the game. They had physical microtransactions, but they were free. So you could get your picture taken and you can have whatever name you want on it and they'll print it for you. So it turns out the guy who was running it also did not like microtransactions. So there was an EA guy card sitting next to the printer. Which was pretty awesome. So we went back again on day 4 and did some microtransaction themed cards. I was, what was I? Mr. Microtransaction, you were pay to win, and what was Damien?
Pay to unlock?
Yeah, pay to unlock.
Yeah, so that was fun, and we kind of chatted with the guy, and I guess not a lot of people were big into the making fun of microtransactions, so I guess we were kind of a fun crowd. So day 3 we mostly spent playing Magic. What did you do, Damien? Did you do anything kind of while we were being nerds?
Yeah, no, other than going through and doing a bunch of the pinline things. I played the Banner Saga 3 demo. What else did I do? I pretty much went around to a lot of the booths that were just kind of there, and just saw what kind of games are coming out from the indie side. There was a bunch that I saw. What do we had? Anti-Graviator was one that I had taken a look at. That's going to be coming to Xbox One this spring of 2018. It reminded me of kind of like an F-Zero type racing sim.
We played that one too the next day, actually, me and Warren.
Like on our way out, that was fun.
Yeah, that was.
You destroyed
that
me.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's City of Brass from Uppercut Games. That was one that's going to be coming to Xbox One. What else we got here? Just kind of looking. It was just, I did a lot of roaming, a lot of walking, kind of just, the thing is, the lines at that point were pretty long at those on those days, so it was just there was one of the games that was at the Microsoft booth. Was it this one, Alchemia? Maybe that was it. No, I'm trying to remember. There was one of the oh no, this is the PR person, but I'm trying to remember the game that they played. It was kind of like, it wasn't Below, because I saw Below there and I did not want to play it again, but it was kind of in that vein of more of a dungeon type crawler, but much more of a, not third person, but where the camera's behind you and you go exploring. But it was an interesting multiplayer dynamic, and again, I just can't remember the game for the life of me, but I know it was at the Microsoft booth and it was also in the indie booths, where the matchmaking is made up, where it's like you're playing in an open world, but whoever you end up, like if you're near somebody and you both decide to go into one of the dungeons together, you're then just playing kind of locally with those people. But if you wander too far away from them, then you'll just go back into the open world matchmaking. So it's kind of a interesting dynamic. Again, if I could remember the name of that game. That'd be great. Did we do Head Up Games that day?
Oh yeah, we did. We did Head Up Games.
Yeah.
I forgot to put them on our list, but yeah, we chatted with someone from there. And they're doing physical releases too, which is cool. They just opened their own store to sell their physical releases. Only PS4, but I don't know. I like to see the bigger indie publishers do that and have physical games again.
Yeah, and for listeners, Head Up Games, they're the ones that published Toby, The Lost Mine. Trying to think.
There's a bunch of other games we played too.
Yeah.
Oh, they're publishing Hero Defense now. That's coming to consoles.
Yep.
And despite being a PC game, it actually plays really nicely on the console. They had the console build there, and I played through a couple levels, and it was really good. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, one of the other games I played was this game called Placebo Effect, which will be coming Q4 2018 to Xbox One. It's think of not Journey to the Center of the Earth, but what is it? Fantastic Voyage, when they traveled inside the human body, but you are I guess for the lack of a better term, you look like a giant syringe and you're trying to fight off infection in this body. And yeah, it was a very early build. I mean, parts of it were okay, but one of the things they had going was if you pressed in the left trigger stick when you were flying, it would go from invert to not invert and back again. So yeah, it's really annoying when you're trying to fight a boss and you're constantly switching from invert to not invert when you're flying. So good thing that was in an early build. Oh, and then we also I ran into the guys at .emu. They're the ones that did Wonder Boy, Double Dragon Trilogy, and they have Metal Slug 3 reissued, but they're doing the Wise Chronicles. So if anybody remembers like Wanderers from Wise for the Super NES, that reissue is going to be coming to console. So that's about all I did. Yeah, just kind of ran around the indie booths.
Then day 4 was a pretty short day because we needed to get back to. We had some. Well, you didn't, Damien, but me and Warren had a bit of a journey back. So we just kind of cleaned up the show floor, kind of saw the couple of booths that we still wanted to see, and then you got a pin that you were looking for at the last minute on the way out.
So one of the things I've been looking for, so the whole Penny Arcade PAX pins, those actually started in 2013. That was the first year that the Penny Arcade pins did. And one of the pins they do for each of the shows is the show pin, right? Where it'll say like PAX East, PAX West, or whatever. So I do not have, I had a 2015, 2016, I got the 2018, but I do not have a 2013 PAX East pin. And because it was only sold in a set of 4 and it was only sold like, that was the first year, they're becoming harder and harder to find. So I was, all throughout the entire time we were there, kept going back to the main, tables, never could find somebody trading it. Saw a bunch of people that had it, but nobody wanted to, get rid of their only pin of it. So anyway, some gentleman by the name of Commander Kane was nice enough when he heard my story and knew I was looking for it. He's like, because he had one, and he's like, oh, well, you know what? It will bring you much better happiness than it will me having it. So he gave me his 2013 PAX East pin.
And he
the extra one
to
he
take
had.
any pin
He would
in
not take
exchange
any
for it.
Yeah, so I want to shout out to Commander Kane, because that pin is greatly appreciated and is in my nice display of my PAX East pins. So for all the PAXs that I've been to, so I don't like to have show pins from the shows I didn't go to because I wasn't there. So don't need the pin.
So that finished up our day 4, and we did forget to mention on day 3 we had a little PAX meetup. Or did Saucy attend on day 3?
Well, no, there was a meetup, and is it Akibar? No, it's
Yeah. Akaraba 2.
Akaraba 2.
I think it's 2.
Yeah, Akaraba, Saucy, and myself, we, meeting Saucy, got PUBG because, all this year, it's all about the PUBG. We got PUBG controller skins for Xbox One at the meetup. You guys weren't there because you guys were being nerds.
Yeah, we're being nerds over the Magic table.
Wait, did you go watch Major Nelson and Deadmau5?
No, it's not even Deadmau5. It wasn't even the real Deadmau5. It was just some guy that wears the Deadmau5 helmet when he plays PUBG. It's not even the real Deadmau5.
No, I'm pretty sure the real one was there.
Was he?
Yeah.
If he wasn't spinning, I don't care.
Which was also really weird because I escaped from a festival that he runs that was actually happening in my backyard. So he actually went from PAX up to here.
It was in his backyard. You could hear it from outside
no
of
kidding.
his door. Yeah.
And that went to 1 a.m.
On Sunday?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah,
No kidding. No kidding.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It just sounded like the mountain was just reflecting the sound right to Warren's doorstep.
Oh yeah. Glad I was not here.
Yeah. So yeah, that's our PAX roundup. Went a little longer than expected, but we had a good time, and maybe we'll do it again sometime.
Maybe with more beds.
No, less beds.
Less beds, no cots, no chickening out.
All right,
geez.
So we will throw it back to the main show or whatever comes next because I'm not sure how this is all going to get stuck together.
All right.
Z to Z Podcast presents Review Zed.
All right. So welcome back to another weekly installment of Review Zed. Is back to the original host. I guess original, right? Well,
technically, I think you and Randy would have been the original hosts, but
or something. Well, the one that everybody's used to. So, but I think as people can tell now, so Planting and myself. So Spazpole here, got Warren planting, woo-hoo. And then obviously, as you could probably tell, we have Mango and Proulx that are our alts. So we'll face off every other week or something like that. Or we'll never actually face off because we're always on separate recordings.
It's the opposite of face off.
It is. Hey, before we get into our weekly G-Task update, I just want to clarify in the previous segment, I'm also making a leap in the assumption that the PAX segment was earlier in the show and hopefully not after this. Because if not, this is going to be really awkward. But
confusion may reign.
But assuming it isn't, the game I was talking about that I couldn't remember for the name of the life of me was called Ashen. So Ashen was the game, which was Aurora. I don't know. Annapurna, I guess, is the dev game. But that was the game that I was playing that I couldn't. That was kind of like a dungeon crawler-esque, the dual player one that was kind of like Below, but was nothing like Below other than just it was dark.
That was the dev that had a really cool looking pin that I wanted, but we never figured out where they were.
I found out where they were, and I didn't get, or actually, wait, no, I did get their pin. I think
you did get their pin.
I did get their pin.
And it looks cool.
But it's not a penny arcade. It's not a PAX pin.
No, there is a penny arcade pin they have too.
Oh, they did? I did not get that. I think I just got a regular, the Microsoft version pin he gave me. But anyway, I digress. So for this week's G-Task, we're coming up in a few hours on the cutoff. Looks like it's going to be a very tight week again.
Yeah, I guess when we've got enough on our plates, it tends to be a little rough come the end of the week. And now that being on Wednesday, that's just a little crazier.
It is. So we feel sorry for all of you struggling to put up points in the last few hours. Don't worry. We're probably doing that right this moment if you're listening to this before the cutoff on Wednesday, because that's what we're going to be needing to do. Yeah. But what do we have in store for us in a few hours?
The bonus that you have coming up is, this gives you pretty much no help whatsoever. The bonus is cohesion. It is to end the scoring period with the same gamer score and achievement gains as your teammate. So if your teammate ends with say 62 achievements for 3,000 gamer score, you also need 62 achievements for 3,000 gamer score. This means you may want to talk to your teammate.
Yeah. So I guess maybe for spoiler alert on that, does that mean starting the scoring period that if you and me decided to both bean dive the same games and complete all of the same achievements, we would be guaranteed to get this bonus?
Yes, but you don't have to do it that way.
Oh, you could just get the same amount of gamer score, but you don't need the same achievements.
Correct. Well, no, you need the same number of achievements and the same amount of gamer score. But how you accomplish that is up to you.
All right. Well.
Okay, so just to clarify this, it has nothing to do with true achievement score. Literally just the gamer score and achievement gains. So say you're both playing ACA Neo Geo games. You can play different games. Just make sure your gamer score and achievement counts are the same.
All right, not so bad. Okay, so digressing from that, let's talk about a game. Not a hard game, but a game that's worth discussing. So we're doing North by our favorite new favorite publisher, Lontinal, or spelled out sometimes you. This is actually developed by Outland, and this was actually released on March 6th, 2018, with the sometimes you price of $4.99. And adventure, I guess that's the genre. Is that what you would have voted for? Does this fall under adventure?
I mean, it's not really a point and click, and we don't have a walking sim genre. So, barring us creating a walking sim genre, yeah, adventure is probably the closest.
Okay, so it's a half-hour game, maybe an hour. If you watch I don't even think you need to. I mean, so this was a PAX gameplay. So, I needed the achievements really quickly, so I didn't use a walkthrough. I kind of used somebody that knew the game, i.e. you.
Do this. Okay, do this. All right, cool.
Yeah, but I really think, like, other than, some of the sequence stuff, it would have been, fairly good. Now, I guess starting with the plot, right? So you came from the south to the north, right? You're living in the north because your sister's still in the south, right? That you are writing that letter to?
Correct.
Okay. And so you were an immigrant to the north, and it's you writing letters to your sister, talking about life as you progress through it, as you walk around and do things like go to work and go to other places. I mean, I don't really want to spoil the game because you only go to 4 places?
There's probably 5 or 6 actual spots you go to, but yeah, none of them are particularly, noteworthy in any real way.
Yeah, and there is reading. You got to read the dialogue, but there's no real audio dialogue. I mean, this game is perfect to play on mute or unmute. I guess you get the sound effects.
Or at 6 o'clock in the morning in a hotel room.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so, I mean, here, how about I turn over to you, because I know you had some, things you were picking up on it, so.
I mean, basically, if you don't pay attention to the letters that you write your sister, and those are seen by, there's these post boxes all over the place, and when you walk up to it and interact with it, then you mail a letter to your sister, and the letter you write is going to be dictated based on what you've done between letters, and it also tells you what you need to do to move forward. So it's an interesting way to make the game work, but the fact is, everyone's walking and everyone talks and looks different in this. You can't understand them. Although there's a subtitle when they talk, it's just gibberish. You could turn on the radio and it's just unintelligible. You have no idea what's going on. People that draw art, it's just weird. The guys in the elevator, that family of blobs. I don't even know what that was about. But so it's just really awkward. You're very much out of place. You are a stranger in a strange land. You have to make all sorts of different adaptations to be accepted in this city, which basically come as a result of following the guides or following the letters, whichever it is you're doing. Both pretty much tell you the same. And just kind of following this more or less linear path through the story. And while you do this, you're pretty much just given lots of emotions, but not happy, joy. This is the kind of stuff I guess they'd want like a refugee to experience. Like, you're confused. What am I doing here? What's going on? Why is there this crazy dude sitting in this pool of maybe lava? I don't know what it is. Boredom. Okay, same tasks over and over again, just wandering around this crazy city. And frustration, especially when you try to figure out why you can't get into certain spaces until like later on in the game, or just bizarre. It's not a kind of game that you would play for a happy, good feeling. It's more for telling you the tale of what it would be like were you actually in a situation where you had to go somewhere else and be in a completely new surrounding.
One thing though that I was reading, one of the things that was picked up on, I think, was a Motherboard or whatever, where they were talking about it, or Vice. One of the things, like, it definitely had that European feel. And so, because part of the thing I was going, I think about, again, it's, you think to what and it's like, well, I think about in the US, right? And okay, yeah, you might be a refugee coming in here, but, as you play through the game, you're like, is it really that bad coming into America? And then you're like, yeah, I guess not so much, because we have a lot more. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's definitely places where the US can be much more accepting, easier to do things. But, I think the whole idea of like coming in somewhere and being like completely lost by the language or anything like that, you're going, I don't know if that would be really the case. But then when you read this and you go, yeah, but let's say you were, I don't know, like, for lack of just, guessing, but you say you're coming out of a country like Syria or something, and then you go somewhere like, I don't know, Europe. And if you're not, if you're coming from one dialect and they're going into another, like, maybe and that's where you read the article, like, influenced by German expression, like, okay, yeah, that would make a lot more sense why this is a lot more confusing, where I could just think about having no background in any language and just getting dropped into somewhere like Belgium and being like, huh? But if I didn't even speak English,
exactly.
Like, don't speak English, speak another language, and then have them speaking a completely different language, like dialect, you'd be going, okay, yeah, I could definitely see where, this, what they were trying to simulate. So, I mean, really quickly, because we are an achievements podcast and I hear people like to hear about those. I don't know why. The achievements were easy. I mean, they really, for North, to get the 1000G. Now, this did have the same sometimes you issue that I found. If you do not purchase the content yourself and you are playing on somebody else with somebody else that has purchased the game, you have to play it on their home console. You cannot have them come over to your house or dorm room or whatever and play the game via like their tag being on the console. It won't pop the achievements locally for you. It will still continue on theirs. I don't know why it does that.
Yeah, it is a little awkward. Also worth noting, there is no chapter select. This is just a one-play game. So these achievements, if you don't get them in your first run, you will have to make an entire second run for them.
So, I mean, but if you... I don't think anything is really... so you can miss certain achievements. But I think if you look at the achievement descriptions, none of them are very difficult. Like, I think the only way you'd miss them is if you were not looking at a guide and did not even know what the achievements were.
Possibly. One of them is the one that I think may be missable, that depending on how good you are with the mini game, is the one called Burned Out at Work, which requires you to actually fail your work task. If you're actually good enough at it and you find all the locations and grab your stones, you may actually miss that and have to replay, which granted would take you all of 10 minutes.
Really on the other one, I would say, no, because you had to get all the lights. You had to find all of those lights to get the one.
The only other one I'm not sure about, I don't remember seeing a note in the letters about it, but it's for listening to the radio. There's an achievement to actually listen to the radio, but I don't know if there was anything that the game made you do it for.
I don't think so, but I mean, I found that one before I had even looked at the achievement list, so...
I mean, yeah, if you're just exploring what you can get to from the start of the game, then chances are you would interact with it just
yeah.
naturally.
So, gameplay, first person, and there's nothing earth-shattering about it. It wasn't very poor, but then nothing that really tasked you to be like, oh, I needed, deadly accuracy or anything. I was still expecting I'd pick up.
No, and for that matter, I mean, yeah, no, it's just literally you just cruise through the game doing the little tasks that your letters tell you to do. There's only one part that I just didn't really understand. I don't know how you would really get naturally without either clicking on everything or reading a guide. That I won't give any spoilers just because it's, one of the few things in the game. But let's just say it has something to do with a phrase you hear a lot playing Left 4 Dead.
I don't even know which one that you're alluding to on that. I'll leave that with you.
Okay. I'll tell you afterwards then. I won't spoil it for you if you finish.
I mean, at this point, I've figured. I mean, graphics, it's a very dark, I think of like a German industrialized at night type city, but even then the graphics weren't earth-shattering. I mean, the texture mapping on whatever those blobs was okay, but again, nothing was like, seemed kind of rushed or just not very...
I mean, yes, or you could take it as the sense of they're trying to present like everything is so alien to you. Like, why else would you see like blobs in the elevator and the doctors as just like the shadow people? I don't know what else you would call them.
The floor on the elevator. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, the graphics are not anything to write home about. But I mean, for $5 and an hour of gameplay. Yeah, true. And I mean, so for me, that kind of goes, leads it back to the verdict. So for North, I mean, for $5 and for 1,000 gamer score, yeah, I mean, it definitely, I think, is something that you should have somebody else play it and then maybe get into a dialogue discussion about immigration. That maybe would be where the value in this game is about, to having that open dialogue about, foreign policy and, how does one properly.
I'm not really sure that the game was designed for anything other than just making you think. I mean, and possibly have that discussion. Like it's definitely, cheap gamer score. It's a walking sim basically through and through. Yeah, if you're looking for something that's got replay though, or like an actual gameplay besides just making you think, you're probably going to turn this off in despair.
Yeah, no, it definitely was not that. So, I mean, again, cheap gamer score, but yeah, not the most fun title, but it wasn't supposed to be fun. So I guess it really hit the mark that it was aiming for.
Yeah, true.
All right. Well, so for next week, you guys will hear again from Proulx and Mango, and then me and Warren, I guess we'll be back week after next.
We shall return.
All right, you guys have a great week. Thanks for listening.
Peace.
What the L with the RTDL?
We're back. Welcome to What the L and M with the RTDL. I am Big L.
And I am Matriarch. Welcome, everybody.
We have a great show lined up for you all today, or tonight, or whenever you may be listening.
Don't you listen to the show, L? It's good morning, good evening, or good day.
Yeah, I never understood that order. Shouldn't good day come between good morning and good evening?
Guys...
Elroy couldn't make it yet again today due to soccer practice, soccer game, something soccer related. I guess he does a lot of soccer. That is probably why Chin Doctor knows that Elroy would bake him in soccer. In any case, welcome, Matriarch.
I am happy to fill in, L. It's just yet another thing that I get to carry you in. I'm probably going to have hernia when this is all over.
Ah, yes, I know the feeling. I constantly carry Elroy when we usually do the show together. Would that be called a hisnia?
No, that was a really bad joke, El. And I'm right here. I am Elroy. Rumors of my demise have been greatly exaggerated.
Oh, hi, Elroy. Welcome back. I am very mad at you, though. You ruined our streak. We had 20 in a row. 21? Something like that. That's like the Undertaker at WrestleMania level of streak.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. Oh, wait. I have no idea what you were talking about, man.
That's somebody else. It all came crashing down like it hurts inside. Like crashing down, like when the 2007 New England Patriots had a perfect regular season, going 16-0. And then they made it to the Super Bowl. Oh, and then what happened? They lost to the New York Giants. Hi, Saucy.
Oh, okay. I get that, the sports reference and whatnot. But it seems, though, as I return from a 1-week, vacation, a 1-week trip, and I come back to a guild trip?
Oh, man. Good one. So, Elroy, what have you been up to?
Well, I am so glad you asked. I had a hot date over the weekend. Tommy and I went on our first date. The atmosphere was electric. We tried to go to Alcatraz, but it was all sold out. So instead, we decided to reenact the game A Way Out that Proulx spoiled in the Discord chat, and do an Alcatraz escape room. We escaped with 15 minutes left on the clock.
Attaboy.
We then went to the beach and reenacted the volleyball scene from Top Gun. All in all, an amazing date. Did you know that NBA Kirkland went all the way out to San Fran and didn't even so much as call Tommy? Just saying. His loss. I'm bitter. Anyway, it was great to finally meet some Zed-heads in person. So, have y'all been up to anything interesting?
Well, unlike some teams I know, Michelle and I have been hard at work trying to stay in the G-Task.
Yep.
Oh, Michelle says yes.
Well, that was interesting.
That's it. That's all I have to say. This is usually how it goes. The whole carrying thing. I'm too tired to speak.
I got you. Yeah. Well, the good news is that April is sailing on by. And in an effort to create some synergy up in this podcast, What the L is joining forces with the Game of the Month, chosen by the Benevolent Dictatorship in Minnesota, and a game I will never personally play. The Janky, the Grindy, the game that makes you yell, "Are you kidding me?" when the Chivos don't pop, even when you earn them. It is Sea of Thieves.
I appreciate What the L's supporting the Game of the Month program. I hope the wide audience that you all reach will stimulate some interest.
You said stimulate.
And I look forward to counting up the totals for the month and shortchanging some scalawags, much like I shortchanged Elroy.
Love that guy.
About 600 points in the Tesla roundup. My Tesla bad.
I'm sure ElroyOMJ will forgive you. He is a delightful Tesla lad, and nobody ever screws up his stats, his name, etc., etc. Oh, hey! Did I mention we're in the show notes?
Well, in a quick look at the leaderboard, Wise Eye Nye AT&T
Nailed it.
stands at the helm of this serious ship that is the RTDL with 21 pops worth over 4,000 points. This lead is somewhat slim over Landlubber.
Lubber didn't even know her.
Man of the King himself, the Kingsman, 2,600 and a quarter, who sets 200 points shy. If Wise Eye Nye AT&T wants to have his powder monkeys unload the battery on the fleet-footed Kingsman and cruise way ahead, he shall have to prove himself as an all-star by popping said achievement in Pool Nation FX with a 15.69 ratio. Trailing behind these Sea Dogs is no other than Wanda's husband himself, NBA Kirkland, whose decline in the standings will likely continue as the first round of the playoffs are upon us. Old Pirate NBA Kirkland may not have the best RTDL score of the month, but you should see his hook shot. Also in the top 5 is 4th place, Toad the Wet Venom, who is close behind Mr. Wanda and could leapfrog him if he gets another Halo Master Chief Collection achievement. He only has about 10 of those on his list, and as we told you before, with his massive 1,097 pool size, the venom of the amphibian seems to be that he is trying to ruin the fun of the RTDL for everyone and dig up the RTDL prize booty for himself.
I like his style.
Makes me sick. I'm not saying that I hate curators like this, but I would unplug their life support to charge my phone.
You said booty.
Easy, Michelle. Don't worry. His efforts have been thwarted, as fun is still being had by everyone else besides some joyless doctor in Australia. Although it's all in vain once the format switches next month and the RTDL is probably ruined, despite assurances by the suits in Minnesota that it won't.
Well, isn't that just bootyful?
Elroy is right.
I am?
He is?
Yeah, he is. The best thing that can happen is for the two of you to be asked to join the main show next week so you can talk about the new format of the RTDL and maybe bounce around all the ideas you've had in an open forum.
And with only 12 pops is 5th place, Cowboy Killer.
Who?
I mean, it's only fitting given that you guys are the ambassadors of the RTDL, and people are brought on to talk about the game of the month and whatnot.
Who put together quite a week last week with some high-ratio stuff from Elite Dangerous and Project Spark, allowing him to fly up the standings all the way to 2nd place, only to have us, take the week off. Yeah, just know, someone noticed. Killer of Cowboys. Someone noticed.
I didn't notice.
No, I still don't know who that is.
I did notice, however, that you could also talk about the global standings when you're a guest host next week.
And on the outside looking in is Waka Peel, who needs to show us that he is more Waka for real if this scurvy dog wants to make the top 5.
Wow, that was quite an update.
Well, as Smitty might say, that wasn't an update. This is an update.
Wow. Who's that? Paul Brogan?
These individuals showed off their sea legs by promoting some synergy on the RTDL and fetching some achievements in particular. It is time for your RTDL update, Avashi Mateys edition. And the honorable mention spot, it is no other than...
Is it Proulx?
Yeah, I've listened to these enough. It's got to be Proulx.
Nope. Proulx is dead to me. 6 feet under. I plan on trampling his gravesite, much like his improvement joke got trampled 20 weeks ago.
Is there any chance we can bury that reference or that running gag with him?
Oh, yeah. I miss Rocker Dead. And we'll all float on okay. And we'll all float on okay.
I'll tell you what's not okay. I'll tell you what would be showing some massive improvement.
He was a good guy. Kind of weird and looked like that Bottles character from your favorite game, Banjo-Kazooie. But, oh, man, good guy, already we'll all float on. All right, oh, don't you worry, we'll all float on.
All right.
Later, El. I got some stern words for that Proulx. That Bottles-looking Proulx. He wants to be better. You want to be better, Proulx? Well, I got something for you that you can do to show some improvement.
I guess I missed something. What did he do again?
Michelle, in the Discord, he accused me of pursuing easy Gamerscore. Well, let me tell you something, Proulx. Here's how you can show some improvement.
You do.
Well, that's kind of beside the point.
Elroy, I mean, your TA ratio is like 1.2, maybe. With the amount of Gamerscore you have, that's pretty much a who's who of terribly easy games.
Y'all are missing the point. I have quite the zinger for him. So, Proulx, if you want to see some...
Sounds to me like what you should be doing is improving your TA score.
Yeah, maybe mixing the occasional, 1.5 ratio achievement just to get your ratio moving in the right direction. Baby steps.
Getting trampled here. The honorable mention goes to Eld.
Oh, me?
No, Eld. Eld.
Wait, you want Eld dead now? What's with all your anger, Elroy?
Whoa.
I'm not really sure. My therapist is working on me with it. It's just, he said that I was starting to show some improvement.
Can we get back to the update now?
So Eld is actually tied for the honorable mention with Tony Big Coconuts. Tony makes the list for his pop for a 5-finger discount for stealing a fence or something like that from Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, which ultimately leads him to that which Eld popped on his swashbuckling list, which is Firing Squad from Crackdown.
This is the disclaimer. Crack is whack.
You preach it, though. For any good pirate will ultimately face the old Firing Squad for their many a 5-finger discounts.
Wait. I have a Firing Squad joke.
Uh-oh. What? Can't wait to hear this.
All right. So, 3 pirate wenches are facing the Firing Squad. So the brunette wench went first. The executioner said, "We will shoot you on 3. 1, 2... Before the man said 3, the brunette wench yelled, "Tornado!" Everybody looked away, and she ran to safety.
Michelle, it doesn't sound like the Firing Squad seems to be very good at their jobs here.
Just hear it out. So the Firing Squad then went to the redhead wench, and the executioner said, "We will shoot you on 3. 1, 2, flood!" The red-headed wench screamed. Everyone looked away, and she ran to safety.
Hard to find good workers these days.
So the blonde wench, noticing what the other girls did, she knew what she had to do. The executioner said, "We will shoot you on 3. 1, 2, fire!" The blonde wench screamed.
What was that? What are you doing? I mean, you come on the segment and you do that?
Well, I mean, I thought it was funny. Don't you get it? Fire? Like, fire, pow, pow, the Firing Squad fire?
I mean, it's not so much that it wasn't even funny. I mean, it wasn't even really a pirate joke, right? You got like a theme we're working here. You know, you didn't hear all the R's and the hook shots and the you just took a dumb blonde joke and added the word winch to it.
I don't know if we can be friends anymore.
Whoa. Hey, I'm sorry, man. I had to tell her how the cow ate the cabbage, but, I mean, that joke, that was really bad, man.
I don't know. I don't mean you, Elroy. We're still bros.
Oh, bro. Bro.
What, bro? Oh, fire! I get it. Oh, fire! No, I was talking to Michelle though. That joke was really bad.
In 5th place is Kingsman 2625 with his Monaco Mikasa Sukasa achievement of Dem Bones.
Dem hip bones don't lie.
I don't suppose you have anything to add about this one, do you, Michelle?
Okay, let me try this again. So a young brunette wench, while in port from, pillaging and whatnot, goes into the pirate doctor's office and says that her body hurts wherever she touches it. "Impossible," says the pirate doctor, or impossible, or something more piratey. "Show me." She takes her finger and pushes her elbow and screams in agony, and then she pushes her knee and screams, and pushes her ankle and screams, and so it goes. Wherever she touches makes her scream.
I really have a bad feeling about this.
So the pirate doctor says, "You're not really a brunette wench, are you?" She says, "No, I'm really a blonde wench." "I thought so," he says. "Your finger is broken."
Another one.
I mean, seriously, Michelle, what are you doing here? I mean, that wasn't even a pirate joke either. I mean, you're just adding the word winch to another blonde joke, and then you threw in the word pirate a few times just for good measure. I mean,
would it have been better if I said finger is broken? Anyway, I didn't think you would notice.
Dreadful. Just dreadful.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. In 4th place is Posty with his Forza Motorsport 5 achievement of Silver and Gold. For every good freebooter is all about dim dum balloons. Mo doubloons, mo problems.
Can I try one more?
This is it, Michelle.
What do you think, El?
We need you to deliver a really good pirate joke.
Pirate joke.
Pirate joke.
Yes.
Okay, so a blonde wench, wanting to earn some extra money, decided to do some contracting work in a wealthy neighborhood she was plundering.
This really doesn't make any sense, but all right, go on.
All right, so the blonde wench struck a deal with the first house to paint the porch for 50 doubloons. The man told her that the paint and ladders were in the garage, and he thought he was getting a great deal since the porch went all the way around the house. A short time later, the blonde wench comes to the door to collect her money. "You're finished already?" he asks. "Yes," the blonde answered, "and I had paint left over, so I gave it 2 coats." Impressed, the man reached into his pocket for the 50 doubloons. "And by the way," the blonde wench added, "that's not a porch, it's a Ferrari."
She's fired.
All right, that's it. That's it. You're out of here. Just stop. No more. You're out. No more.
Keep going, Elroy.
All right. In third place is no other than the great Frimholio.
Are you threatening me? I am the great Frimholio.
For his Sea of Thieves achievement of Dead Pirates Do Tell Tales, in which the Freem accomplished having the Ferry of the Damned open its gates, and a tale he did tell through the Circle of Eights.
That sounds fascinating.
Aye, but waste your money not on a physical copy of the game unless ye wants to join those on the ferry. Speaking of the Circle of Eights, however, do you know what the pirate said on his 80th birthday? Aye, matey.
Why did the blonde wench bring soap to the birthday party?
Oh, God.
Aye, she thought it was a soap prize party, she did.
Oh,
No.
In second place is Nigga Gamer in 77, with not only his Skull Taker pop from Halo 3 Mythic from the Halo Master Chivo collection, but also for his pop of The Birds Will Be With You from Angry Birds Star Wars, because everyone knows a good pirate must have his feathered friend on his shoulder.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And Nigga Gamer also popped another one from the Master Chivo collection for Scavenger Hunt, which he presumably had to go around and send 1,000 jackals to Davy Jones' locker.
A bit dark.
Indeed, aye, but we shall send the enigma on another scavenger hunt. Ye must find
A shrubbery.
something orange that sounds like a parrot. Might I suggest a carrot? I thought that was. And lastly,
Thank God.
in first place is no other than the amphibious Toast-Style Venom for his pop of the Wheel Deal
Waka Wheel Deal?
from Bully Scholarship Edition. Speaking of which, y'all mama's so ugly that when she got dropped off for the first day of school, yo grandmama got a fine for littering.
Don't be talking about my grandmama.
Toad accomplished his Wheel Deal pop by grinding out 200 willies on his bike. But he makes our list today because every good pirate ship must have a wheel at its helm to steer the course.
And that's why you made it number 1?
I cannot lie to ye, El. I wanted to tell about this one pirate who walked into a bar.
You had me at bar.
So this pirate walks into a bar and he has a steering wheel on his pants and a peg leg and a parrot on his shoulder. The bartender says to the pirate, "Hey, you've got a steering wheel on your pants." That pirate says, "Arr, I know, it's driving me nuts." And that has been your RTDL update of Vashi Mateys Edition.
Grah!
What?
I'm a dyslexic pirate.
Cattle corn!
Arr!